All right. Hi. Hello. Welcome, everyone, to episode 48 of Shrine Talk. Uh, with me today is, well, how to describe Manon main, Ryu main, LinkedIn
Yeah.
profile, team LinkedIn profile pic. Veej PP, kindly introduce yourself for those who are not familiar.
Okay. So, hi everyone. I'm Big PP or Vij. I'm a competitive Street Fighter player here in the Philippines. I'm mostly known for my Manon previously,
Previously.
currently Ryu gimmicks. We do the sillies here. Yeah. I'm a chill Ryu main now at the moment, at least.
Gimmick. Are you sure it's not your actual marquee playstyle now?
I
I
mean,
don't
I
think it's a
mean,
gimmick anymore, dude.
first one was a gimmick. Second time is
Yeah, and then the third, and then the fourth, then it's no longer a gimmick.
now it's a style. It's
We live and die by the gimmicks, so it's no longer a gimmick. It's straight up a playstyle. All right. The topic for this episode 48 of Fighting Game Balance. I know this has been a topic for a couple of Shrine Talk episodes, but I think this one in particular is going to be a very interesting one. And Rocket, thank you so much for the sub. Highly appreciate it. Thank you. Elephant in the room before we get to the whole um talk itself, what really sparked this whole idea of this topic for the Shrine Talk, obviously, it is the whole it's the whole season 2 kerfuffle of Tekken 8. And by contrast, the entire state and situation of fighting games as a whole, from the community perspective at least. Because, of course, if there is one thing that the fighting game community likes to do, for better or for worse, they like to pit their fighting games against each other. And sometimes it's toxic, but sometimes it leads to very good discourse and leads to great things. All right. To start off, now that you know a little bit about Vig or Vij PP. As he said, he is a very competitive Street Fighter player from the Philippines. Primarily known formerly for his Manon main, currently for his Ryu shenanigans. As for yours truly, if you need to know, I have played Tekken since Tekken 3 PlayStation era. My first Street Fighter was Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. First Guilty Gear was Xrd. I did play MVC 2 up until Ultimate Warriors Capcom 3. So yeah, I've played a handful of fighting games. I do love fighting games. Right now, though, I'm taking a quick break after the very intense, the very fun, soft-boiled C SF6 event, which Vig was a co-host alongside our homie, our Blue Choom himself, Dippin' Blue. Of course, both of them hosted that tourney with the best of their abilities, and I agree with Blue. It was definitely a success across a lot of metrics. And of course, given that two people were basically the ones hosting it, they did a pretty good job. It was not perfect. There were some hitches, but both of them did a pretty bang up job. All right. So, as you all know, with every Shrine Talk, we don't go straight to the meat of the topic. We always start from the outside, right? A bunch of things surrounding the issue before we actually go in. All right. So first off, all right. So what kind of player would you describe yourself, League? Because of course, in fighting games, there are many kinds of players. You have your competitives, you have your competitives, like people who basically compete locally or even internationally. You have people who really spend a lot of time grinding ranked, people who just like to lab, or people who really treat it like an arcade game where they just play with friends or if they feel like it once in a while.
Yeah, okay. So I'd say I'm more of a casual player, slightly competitive, maybe at a regional level,
Mm-hmm.
but I wouldn't go so far as to like go out of the country to pay to compete at that level. It's mostly just me wanting to play with friends, which makes
Hmm.
me want to play fighting games. So yeah, definitely more of a casual one. I think my skills might be a bit higher than that though, but yeah, most my purpose really for fighting games is just I just wanna play games with friends. I just wanna see their reactions as well when I hit them with wild stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Fair. That's fair. I can vibe with that as well. I consider myself
Mm.
a very casual fighting game player, although I will have to admit although I will admit that my skill level is a bit uh higher than
Yeah.
your average casual player, I'll admit. I mean, just for a metric for you guys to measure, my highest ranked character in Street Fighter 6 is Chun-Li, master rank. I think she's sitting at around 1400, 1300 range, which is like on the lower end of master rank, but master rank is like a battlefield of sorts. Like
Mm-hmm.
really tough. But yeah, most of the time, definitely 99% of the time when it comes to fighting games, I am very casual. I just like pressing buttons. I like doing combos. I like just doing funny, wacky shit. Unless, of course, if I have friends who are actually practicing for a tournament, then I don't mind locking in because it's still fun. Fighting games are, as Tokido said, there's something really great. Even regardless if you're locking in, you're autopiloting, you're just pressing buttons, it's hella fun. It's hella
Yeah.
fun, especially with friends. All right. So the question after that, now that y'all's know what kind of fighting game player I am and what kind of fighting game player Big himself is. So, do you think, right? Do you think fighting game balance can be seen in the same scope as other multiplayer competitive games with balancing as well baked into it? Because like let's be clear, in the current scope of multiplayer games, right? Compared to
Yeah.
just a few years ago, people would not see the likes of Counter-Strike the way they would see Street Fighter, the way they would see Dota, the way they would see League of Legends. Very different
Mm-hmm.
before and now. Nowadays, at least in the larger scope, it's almost like a mishmash if you look at like professional level of video games. They almost look the same. If you
Mm-hmm.
look at Valorant today, Dota, League, Street Fighter, Tekken, they all kind of look the same outside looking in. But would you say that do you think that fighting game balance can be seen? Just balance, of course, not the scene itself. But
Mm-hmm.
fighting game balance, do you think it can be seen in the same scope as other multiplayer competitive games?
Uh, I'd say no.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go back to like what you were saying, right, with CS and the start and Dota.
Mm-hmm.
And like with Street Fighter 2 or 3 at that time, there weren't updates for those games, at least for Street Fighter. If
Yeah.
anything, it would be a new version, right?
Mm.
The issue with fighting games, for example, is compared to the other games, it's already niche, right?
Yes, very much.
Right. So it's not as popular. So there's a need for it to come out, at least for me,
Mm-hmm.
it has to come out decent. It has to come out balanced already before it even gets tested by everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I could say this. I could say other games that has less standards, I guess, when it comes to it,
Mm-hmm.
since the patches could come. Like moving to now, right? If you have, let's say, Valorant, and it came out broken, it's fine. A quick patch would fix it relatively fast,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let's say, oh, this gun does too much damage. Okay, give us a week or two. We'll just quick patch it to so it deals less damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
With fighting games, if it comes out bad, people just won't buy it.
Oh,
That
yeah, that's fair. That's
right?
fair.
So that's just it for the game, right? And even if it does get patched in, like let's say, oh, I think King of Fighters, there's was the one that added rollback after, or a lot of the old games, a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
the fighting
Remember.
games have like they add the rollback after, but then at that point it's just already treated as a dead game for most of the people, so they
Or
don't
as they
even
call it,
bother
a
getting
Discord
it.
fighting game.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
Discord
So it's
fighting
like
game.
the issue if fighting games don't balance it, it affects sales heavily.
Mm.
And yeah, I think another thing to worry about with balancing is with other games.
Mm.
Um, let's say Valorant for example as well, because I play Valorant a bit casually as well. Um, one thing that they can always do is reworks, right? If this character is a bit too busted or if the skills aren't up to date, they could just rework a character, change up the what the ability does, so it's kinda fixed. I don't think you can do that in a fighting game. Like, let's say with Tekken, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say bottom tier Panda,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
the
let's say
bears.
this season they just made her like act like a Mishima as well. Like, uh, it doesn't really work like that for fighting games because there's the whole character identity. Old players use Panda still because of these reasons,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not even sure if new players would even be interested in trying out
Mm-hmm.
Panda, the new Panda, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the balancing here is really tricky. I think it's because we prioritize characters more, as well as the personal preferences rather than like overall enjoyment. I think
Mm-hmm.
with like the systems like compared to shooting games or MOBAs. Yeah. How about you? How about you?
That is actually a very good point. Just sticking with, since you started with the whole Valorant metaphor, I'll do that as well.
Mm.
The thing is also to add to that, right? To add to that, you think you look at a simple, well, simple subjective, but you look at a shooting game like Valorant. You literally have a very fixed amount of category of guns. We're not talking about guns in general, but category of guns, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have your handguns, your shotguns, submachine guns, rifles, machine guns, and sniper rifles. Those are 6 categories. And each category has a number of guns, but they are kind of like balanced around each other as a category, right? No one is going to compare, for example, a Vandal to a Spectre or
Yeah.
an Op to a Ghost, all right? Those are different categories. They will always compare each to their own category, right? They'll compare a Sheriff to an to a Ghost. They'll compare a Vandal to a Phantom. Not so much in fighting games though. That's the intricate part of
Yeah.
fighting games. You like for anyone who hasn't played a fighting game, you might be wondering, why are you comparing Zangief to someone like Ryu? That's because the whole dynamic of a fighting game is designed around that. Because it's not as straightforward as Valorant. Like I said, if you are at range, right? Somewhere like 30 plus meters and you have a Spectre and you're facing against a rifler, you should be dead. Right?
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
it's very cut and dry, right? Submachine guns have a very short effective range. Rifles have a more versatile where they work pretty well close range, but they specialize mid-range. Then you have sniper rifles that specialize long range, not so good medium to short range, right? It's kind of like a rock paper scissors situation. But
Mhm.
in fighting games, not so much because, for example, right, you have your big body grapplers, right? You have your big body grapplers. So in your head, right, in your head, you might be thinking, oh, they're slow, so I have to just stay far away from them or be fast to beat them. Generally, that is correct. That is the right case. But it's not so simple because it's a fighting game. You can take two really fast characters in the same game, like let's say from Street Fighter 6, two really fast characters that are completely different in terms of strengths, how they approach certain matchups, their weaknesses. You look at Kimberly and
Mhm.
the likes of, say, Jury or Jamie, right? They have one simple job to get in your face and apply pressure. But even that is not simple when you compare just three characters that have similar traits and similar strengths. Because, for example, Jamie needs drinks to get shit going, and he doesn't have projectiles. Jory has no need for drinks. Her projectile, however, is on the ground, which in of itself is it has strengths and weaknesses. You have Kimberly, who has no drinks, no projectiles, technically. No drinks, no projectiles. But she has so many movement tools that she can basically go from point A to point B with very little reaction time for the opponent. And again, that's just three characters against what I presented, which is a big body grappler. And then, like, how many, right? How many categories of fighting game characters are there, right? You have Shotos, you have Zoners, you have Rushdown, you have grapplers, you have brawlers, you have a lot. There's just a lot of archetypes that you have to take into account. So, if you're trying to balance a game like Street Fighter 6 the same way you are balancing Valorant, that's not gonna go well because here's a fun fact and a little perspective for everyone in chat, right? You see someone using an op in Valorant. You see that they shoot them in the body, they die in one shot. Very simple. You see that they shoot them in the leg, they survive. Very simple. You see someone with a Vandal or a Phantom, right? Vandal, one shot, headshot, regardless how far. Phantom, if you're too far, it takes two shots. Very simple, right? So in your head, if you're trying to balance that out, right? You're like, okay, let's just make the Phantom one shot just like the Vandal. But let's reduce like the ease of use of the Phantom. Right? Like, okay. That's plausible. Like it doesn't sound like it's gonna break the game, but on paper, like, okay, that looks very simple. And then for the op, let's just make it one shot everywhere on the body, but make it more expensive. Right? These are things you can see. You can see the price. You can see the quote-unquote numbers. But I ask you, in fighting games, can you see frame data? No, you can't. You really can't see frames, right? Because I'm pretty sure for those outside looking in, you all have probably been intimidated by the whole jargons that we as a fighting game community use. Like, this is plus, this is minus, don't whiff, that's a mix-up, overhead, +4, -3, +1. 10 frame punish, like 5 frame, like that means nothing, and worse, you can't see that. Because in a game like Valorant, oh, that gun one-shots, regardless of how far or how close they are. Simple. You see Ryu just use his standing medium punch, right? And you're like, so what do I do against that, right? Like it's not as simple as in a shooting game. Like you see someone with a an op that one shots. You're like, okay, I have to flash, I have to smoke, or just not get hit, right? Very simple. Because that you have your visual feedback. Okay, this gun can one shot me. I have to be careful. Got it. Ryu's medium punch. You're like, other than blocking, like what the fuck do I do afterwards or before, right? Is it +1, so am I not supposed to press something? Is it -3, so I can jab them if they try to throw, or do I throw if they try to shimmy? Is it -4, so I can punish it? You can't visually see that from visual feedback alone. You really can't. That's why if someone says like, let's just make let's make this move, right? Let's make Manon's standing heavy kick like more plus on block. People would like, are you fucking crazy? No, don't make it plus. And again, like outside looking in, you're like, wouldn't that be a good thing? I mean, it's just like if you made a phantom headshot regardless. No, completely different story.
No.
Completely different.
That would break my down for
The smallest adjustments in a game like Dota and Valorant, I'm not saying they are small adjustments, but even the smallest adjustments have a very different effect if you were to apply the same scale of adjustment in a fighting game. Right? Like you make the op one shot regardless of where you shoot them, make it more expensive, right? It sounds small scale. And then if you try to apply that to a fighting game, even something as simple, not a Hadouken, not a special move, just a normal move. Let's make Mai's crouching medium punch plus on block. No! Like, that's going to have serious consequences. Really fucking big. And that's why I agree. Fighting game balance cannot really be seen, especially 1:1, in the same scope as other multiplayer competitive games with balancing. And I say this in the least elitist way possible, because it's just not that simple. It's very complicated. I don't mean that other games are not complicated, right? They're not simple. No. I'm just saying you really cannot compare an apple to an orange, because when you're trying to balance these games without ruining it for everyone, you can't just use like, oh, this scalpel works for this, I'll use it for this one. No. Sometimes you need a hammer, sometimes you need a scalpel. It's two really different things. Yes, they are. Yeah, they are competitive games. Yes, they are multiplayer games. Yes, there is a pro scene, there is a casual scene, there is a ranked scene. But you cannot apply your perspective on an apple to an orange, because that's really how I see it. That really is how I see it. Because like I said, the metaphor I'm going with this one, even the slightest adjustments that make complete sense in other competitive games, they have a very different effect on every other competitive game, and especially in fighting games. I think fighting games really have that special that special effect of, I'll dial it up to 1. Are you sure? That might end up dialing it up to 10.
To 10,
Yeah.
I think one big thing we also haven't raised is the multiplayer aspect of other games compared to fighting games. Because for majority of the competitive games right now, it's a team battle basically, right?
Yes,
it's
yes.
a 5v5 with
it's team-based,
Valorant, with CS as well. So let's go back to the up versus let's say Spectre for this case.
Yeah.
Okay, so match wise, if you guys were put in a straight alley, the up would win 100%, right?
Yeah.
But with the team battle, you don't in Valorant at least, you don't have to take up that match, right? You could just say, okay, there's a up over there. Watch out. Let them push. Let them go in. Someone else can go deal with
Smoke
it.
them out
Someone
or
with a better
trade,
weapon. Yep.
right? Like, I have a
There's
Spectre. Let me bait the shot. You have a rifle. Just shoot them in the head. I'll bait them out.
yeah. There's so many ways that they can counter it. But then, in the same sense, the Spectre to an up in a straight alleyway is basically what it feels like with a Geef versus Sim matchup.
Yes. Mhm.
Like
Very
it,
much so. Yeah.
it's rough because
It is
with the
rough.
single player narrative there in fighting games, there's no other way to get assistance other than your own as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, to add to
and
that, right? Like in a game like Valorant, every gun has its weakness. The thing is, it also has its strengths, and you can play around that with your teammates.
mm,
But in a fighting game, like you said, your strengths and weaknesses are baked into your character. And there is nothing that can help you as backup or whatever. It's just really, and I'll be personal with this. I quite frankly, I do not like that kind of design when the matchups are 8-2 or 10-0 levels of bad.
yeah, it's rough.
Yeah,
It's rough.
like I do get it. Like zoners specialize against grapplers. Grapplers specialize against rushdown. Rushdown, like I get that. That's fine. Like if it's a 50-50, 60-40, I can forgive it. But when it's like 90-10, 100-0, I'm like, that's
Yeah,
bad. That's not fun.
definitely.
And yeah, like, and again, see, that's the funny thing. Like, you're like, isn't that what the op versus Spectre matchup is like? Isn't it a 10-0? Because of how shooting games, especially team-based shooting games, are designed, that's not always the case.
Mhm.
Like, for example, a Jet with an op, oh yeah, that good luck. However, if the Jet with an op is fighting someone like, say, Breach or well, yeah, let's say Breach or Sky or even Brimstone, you actually have a chance.
Yeah.
But if they are fighting up against, say, Arena, no, they're losing that fight. They
No,
should
no.
lose that fight with a Spectre. Yeah, they're losing.
Right.
But
Just
in fighting games, yeah, you can take literally, oh, this guy is a grappler and that one is a zoner. So it's 80-20. And then most people are like, not exactly. Because once that grappler has you cornered to a wall, you flip it. Now it's 20-80 in favor of the
Yeah,
grappler.
yeah.
And you're like, what? That simple? Like, yes. All of a sudden. And then you're like, oh, so it's 80-20 all the time. Not exactly. I mean, in this game, suddenly it's 50-50. You're like, what? What kind of
Yeah,
universe is a grappler versus a zoner 50-50? In this universe, it is. And that's not bad? No, because that always has been a thing in this game.
Mm.
It's really funny. Like, yeah, that's how complicated, much more complicated fighting games are. Because you can take 3 guns in shooting games, and in your head, they work almost the same in any game. They work the same in Counter-Strike, COD, Apex, Valorant, etc. You see an MP5, you see an M4 or an AK, you see an AWP, AWM, you already know what they specialize in and how they work.
Mm.
Close range, that Spectre beats the sniper rifle. Long range, that sniper rifle beats the SMG. At medium range, that rifle can beat both, even at close range. See, it's that simple. But in fighting games, no. You see someone with a gun, you see someone that's really big and hunky, you're like, so it's 50. So the guy with the gun wins, right? Most of the time. In most fighting games, yes, but not all the time. And you're like, what? That doesn't make any sense, because fighting games don't make sense at all.
Yeah.
All right, so follow-up question to that. Speaking of balancing, what for you makes a good balancing patch and a bad balancing patch?
Okay.
This is really important before we actually get into the topic.
Yeah. this is tricky as well, right?
It is.
I guess with I guess we have to break this down first, at least for me. And like, there's two levels for balancing patches, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's the character level where they'll change particular stuff about the character, maybe a new move. They'll change the frame data. They'll
Mm-hmm.
make the hitbox wider for this part.
So basically, number adjustments for a character. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Relatively minor to major, depending on the character. Depending on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
character. Or there's also system-wide mechanics which gets changed, which affect everyone
Mm-hmm.
and is a huge thing whenever there's changes to it because it affects all characters at all levels.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because I will mention that again later. You know what I'm talking
Okay,
about. Yeah.
okay. All right, all
Continue.
right. So I guess let's start with character level. With a good balancing patch, it has to be enough where it doesn't alienate previous players of that character,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time lets new players become interested.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think we can look at Ryu, let's say, for example.
Mm-hmm.
In season 1 of Street Fighter, he was really kind of bland, I guess, for the most part. One thing that people didn't like in season 1 was he has a Denjin charge, buff basically,
Mm-hmm.
which makes his Hadokens or special moves stronger. He can link it up to combos to deal more damage. The issue with season 1 was there was no mix for it. If you get the Denjin charge, any special move that can use the Denjin charge
It
will
uses
use
it
the
immediately,
Denjin
yeah.
charge. Yes. So it limited the old players from like having mix-ups. It wasted their charge for them side. So season 2 patch comes along for Street Fighter and they fixed it. So now the special move of Dungeon Charge with the Dungeon Charge buff only comes out if you use the heavy version of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that let old players have more mix-ups, more pressure because you don't know when it's gonna come out.
Basically, they
Power.
remove the restriction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more free flowing now
Mm-hmm.
with just that one slight change. And it also let new people want to try it too, cause like okay now Ryu seems a lot more cooler. Let's try it.
Mm-hmm.
A bad balance patch. I'd say a bad balance patch for characters would be if they make it. I'd say either too strong or too different from the old version of this,
Oh, very subjective words.
right? Because too strong, some people like it, right?
Mhm.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
If your character became like S tier all of a sudden, a part of me wouldn't want to complain, right?
Fair.
I'm trying to think of a bad balance patch. Okay, so this isn't my opinion, right? But a lot of people think at least Zangief season 1 to season 2 was a bad buff for Gief because he became too strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
One thing that a lot of people didn't like was so Zangief, for those who don't know, is a grappler, slow moving character. Really hard to get in, but once he does, he deals so much damage with command grabs and pressure, and his combos really hurt. One season 2 buff that they did was depending on the range, his forward medium kick, his flying knee can be up to I think +4, +5, which made it so you'd only have one frame basically to deal with either his command grab or his level 3, which deals half of your health.
Oh, so
Which-
basically you jump or block.
Yes,
Yeah, because after that he can also do crouching light kick or a normal
crouching light
basically.
kick, he can do a normal throw and then catch your jump.
Yeah.
It was rough. It was rough,
rough,
right?
yeah.
Because that just feels too unfair, right?
Mm.
Like what do you mean he just gets to go in that easily, and then now I'm having a hard time just like that, right?
Mm.
In a snap. So that is kind of a bad patch. It made them too strong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the other one is just if it's too different. I'm not sure if this happened in SF. I'm trying to remember if there's anyone in particular. I don't think so. Do you think there's one in Tekken maybe?
Like in terms of like different.
Yeah, like where they maybe change the character. I don't think they do that in fighting games though.
To my memory, there. Oh,
Right.
a balancing
Like,
patch to the point that they made a character feel very different from their previous iteration.
right. I can think of one.
Mm-hmm.
There's E Honda right now in Street Fighter.
Oh Lord, yeah.
Right, because season one, you basically spam his special moves, right?
Yeah.
So you have the sumo headbutt and the butt slam,
Mm-hmm.
which are far-ranging, abusable moves. Which,
And plus.
yeah. So at that time, season one, they'd call him like a noob stomper, because it's a knowledge check basically.
Yeah, yeah.
If you know how to deal with those two moves, you beat Honda easily. Season 2 made it where things were a bit different. Now he has better neutrals. His special moves aren't that abusable anymore. So, old fans of Honda, they were pissed. Like,
That's
like
understandable.
they'd go
Actually,
like,
mm-hmm.
oh, go.
No, continue.
Okay. So it's so they made it too different to the point that like old players wouldn't want it. Because
Mhm.
like this isn't my character anymore. He's different. He's too
Mhm.
different from what I'm used to. And new players are just like, okay, cool. I'm still sticking with my character, but okay. Still not fun though, but like
Mm.
yeah, it's a different path. It's a different balance that it's tricky for both ends because you want to make them better, but if you make them too different, it pushes people away. Like,
Fair.
yeah.
I remember now. In Tekken 7, there was one character that she is my main. I used her ever since season 1. And even I will admit she was kind of busted. She had some busted moves. I am talking about Kazumi. And here's the thing. A lot of players will not agree because it's a weak, quote unquote, weak move. But the most important move in her kit before they nerfed it is not even down forward 1. And I know that down forward 1 was busted. It was. Agreed, it was. Her most important move in her kit is not even down forward 1. It's back 2. Back 2. It tracks sidesteps. It's a safe mid. Sure, it's -5, -8 on block, but you're still safe. It wall splats. And it's a tailspin. It's her most important kit in her it's her most important move in her kit. In season 3 they nerfed it. Oh, Yoko, in what way? What is it -9 now? Is it -10? No. They removed the wall splat. And I'm just like, that tiny little adjustment, you do realize that my game plan now when I have them back to a wall completely changes, right? Like yeah, that tiny little, okay, so just use your other wall splats. What other wall splats have the same threat as back to? Nada. All of them are uber risky. Then, well, isn't that a good thing? Like, isn't like they don't want you to make super safe moves? The thing is, it was already balanced from the fact that the damage was low. They could have done a lot of things to this move, but not mess with the identity. They can bend it, shouldn't break it, right? The back two of Kazumi had these tick boxes as to what they shouldn't break. They can bend it, but not break it. Wall splats, it's a mid, it tracks, it's safe on block, low damage. They can bend it by making it not less safer on block. Like, okay, still safe on block, but the enemies, it's my turn. Threat is bigger. Okay, fine. It's baked in tracking. Like, it's white tracking, so you can't bend that. You try to bend that, you break it, so you can't do that. Same goes for wall splat. The damage, lower the damage more, fine, I don't mind, because the reward is already big enough for a low risk tool on the wall, right? And that's the thing, on the wall. And the funny thing is, there's another thing that they removed as well, which really just neutered the move, where I'm like, like, the main identity of this move is gone. In Tekken 7, there was a mechanic called ballerina spin, where if you hit a character with a certain attack while they are grounded, they would spin like a ballerina. And the thing is, that ballerina spin has the same amount of frames on your opponent, regardless of what character you are using and what character they are. Are they a male character, female character, big, small, doesn't matter. Ballerina spin has the same frame data. So people use that as a, like, okay, here's my game plan after I hit them with that. They removed that with back 2. They just get hit like it's a normal mid. And I'm like, why? Like, there are a lot of things, if it was really that busted, there were better things to nerf than that. And yeah, I'm like, wow, Kazumi feels so much different just by nerfing one move. And fun fact, that was not the only thing that they nerfed with Kazumi. A lot of, like, moves that they nerfed did not make any sense. It affected her identity. I'm just like, really? Like, My perspective, however, on what makes a good balancing patch and a bad balancing patch, of course, because we are fighting game enthusiasts, I have been watching other CCs, competitive pro fighting game players share their thoughts on the current state of their game or the fighting game industry or scene at large.
Yeah.
And the thing is, this is an opinion that came from Max Dude, and I highly yep, this is exactly kind of like the core in fighting games. A good fighting game is where I feel like I am fighting the player and not the character.
Yes.
And you see, the thing is, Tekken has had this identity even up until Tekken 7. You can fight 1,000 Asuka players and they don't feel like they are the same Asuka. That is really good design for me, right? You can fight 1,000 Ryus or Zangiefs in SF6 and they feel very different from each other. That's good. That means that it's a very balanced game and a very balanced character, because as Vij says, when it comes to balancing, there are 2 layers. You have the character layer and the system layer. If the system is balanced and the character is balanced, you can fight 100, 1,000, 10 of the same character and you feel like you're not fighting the character, you're fighting the player. That is good. A bad balancing patch is where I feel like I'm fighting the character and not the player, because everyone is doing the exact same thing. Why do you think whenever I see people complain about Ryu, it's the exact same thing? And I'm like, yep, that's what needs nerfing. Everything else doesn't need to be touched. Bad balancing is if they touch anything but what people are complaining about. And yes, I'm talking about heavy donkey kick. Like, I love that move. All right? I love that move.
Yeah.
But even I agree that it's janky as shit. Like, it has backsway and the hurt box doesn't match the animation. Like, I have seen, all right? I have seen, like, a Chun-Li from afar make that thing whiff. And then she answers back with standing fierce, which reaches really far. And I see it connect with Ryu's very clean feet, and there is no punish counter. I'm like, what? Are we really going to pretend that did not hit? What's going on? Right? And the thing is, when they balance it, they must... I still stick to my philosophy. If you're going to balance a character, don't break them. You can bend them, right? So what's the identity of Ryu's heavy donkey kick, right? It's very safe. it reaches really far. It's evasive, right?
Mm.
So you can take all of those identities and bend it, right? You can maybe to nerf it, right? You can reduce the evasiveness, but it still has to be evasive. You can reduce the range of it, right? But it still reaches far. Like, okay, most Ryus will use this to poke from afar safely, right? And of course, like, what's the best counter to it? DI, right? Don't change that either. Like, make DI the definitive response for it. Because what Ryu mains would do, they would play around that. Oh, you're gonna DI my heavy donkey kick? Guess what? It's a light donkey kick, so I recover faster, Lamau. Eat my DI instead. Right?
Yeah.
So that's part of the game plan. They can't just break it and say, oh, let's remove the hurt box of this. Like, you block it, there's nothing you can do. You have to walk up, and then it's still Ryu's turn, technically. And you're just like, what? And then for like Ryu mains, if they remove the evasiveness, they're like, bro, like, what? We already got used to this for a whole fucking season, and then you didn't just bend it or balance it, you just removed it? Like, huh?
Yeah, that'd be messed up.
That would be
man.
messed up. And again,
Yeah.
like, I'm not glazing or anything. Like, I agree, it is busted. I don't
Definitely.
want people who fight my Ryu to feel like they're fighting Ryu. I want them to feel like they're fighting me, the player. Because that is more fun than fighting the character. You know why? Simple. What's the difference between fighting like a Ryu in ranked and you feel like you're fighting a character and fighting AI Ryu, CPU Ryu? No fucking difference. You're fighting the character, not the AI, not the CPU. You're just fighting Ryu's bullshit. But a really good balance is when you're not fighting Ryu's bullshit, you're fighting the player bullshitting Ryu in your face. That's what you're fighting. That is more fun than just fighting Ryu's bullshit. Right? Because I remember when you said about balancing, like balancing has to be good day one. I remember, like, me and Blue did mention this yesterday. Like, out of all the games that have, like, us as a community, we were once deep into it and we moved on. Regardless if it's out of disappointment or grass is greener on the other side or I've had my fill and I'm done. One of the fighting games I vividly had the most fun, and I think today, if I booted it up, played with Blue, with Red, with Cyan, anyone, I'd have so much fucking fun. It's DNF Duel. I stand by it.
Oh.
And before, it's a Kusoge. It was a Kusoge from the start, though. That's the thing. So, since the beginning, that's already the identity of the game. It is a busted mess, right? Everyone has their level of bullshit, right? Hitman has his bullshit. Striker has her bullshit. Inquisitor has her bullshit. The balancing part was everyone had their own bullshit. And the thing is, people got used to that since the first day. I'm not going to say what's worse, bullshit that becomes balanced or balance that becomes bullshit. In my eyes, they're both bad. Like, if something is bullshit day one, you can bend it, but don't break it into something that's balanced. If something is balanced from the first day, you don't break it to the point that it's bullshit now. No, you can make it a little bit more bullshit, but balanced bullshit. Right? You can turn something that's bullshit from the start, bend it so that, it's still bullshit, but it's just balanced. A little bit more balanced, but hey, it's still bullshit. You don't break it into something new. That's where I draw the line. And that for me is a bad balancing patch, where you take the core identity of, in my opinion, I'll go on with what Avi said, both layers of character and systems. You can bend their identities, but don't break them, right? If a Mishima's core identity, right? If Mishima's core identity is our plus moves require execution and it's busted as shit, you keep it that way. Right? You keep it that way. If a grappler's core identity is, I have to work hard to get your ass to the wall, but once your back is to the wall, you're mine, keep it that way. You don't suddenly make a grappler a zoner where, regardless of where they are, they feel like a threat. You don't turn a Mishima into a our bullshit is so our plus moves are so easy to execute now, or for some reason our bullshit is easier to execute but it's just not as rewarding. I'm like, what? Wait, no, that was the core identity of a
Yeah.
Mishima. You worked hard to know how to electric, when to electric, but the reward was big, but the skill was big, the skill execution was big. And before anyone asks, oh yeah, Yoko, how about Nina's butterfly loops? The thing is, they found a good middle ground, right? They found a good middle ground. This is very Nina specific. I'll just get this out of the way. Nina's butterfly loops had one core identity, other than damage. It was her best wall carry. And there's a trade-off. Like, I'm willing to get a trade-off for an identity shift, but not an identity change. Right? The reason why a lot of people are able to pick Nina now is because you don't need to master Nina's butterfly loops. Alright? What's the difference between a Nina player who knows how to do her butterfly loops and someone who doesn't? It's very simple. Number one, they still have to launch you in the air for you to feel the threat of the butterfly loop. But regardless, the damage difference between someone who can butterfly loop you and not is maybe 10% damage difference, about 10-20%. It's not that much. The only big difference is that they can carry your ass to the wall way better than someone who doesn't know how to butterfly loop. Like that's really the only difference. So, if you are someone who just doesn't have the time or skill to master Nina's butterfly loops, you're fine. But if you're someone who still can, because they made it easier, you're like, whatever. It means that I drop this a lot less. All right? No big difference. See, the identity of Nina is bent, but not broken, right? Nina is a lot easier to use, but she still has a high skill ceiling, high reward identity. They bent it to the point where she's easier to use. But if you really want to maximize her efficiency of usage, you gotta learn how to do butterfly loops. That's bending the identity, but breaking the identity, just look at Tekken 8 Season 2 right now. That's oh boy. We'll get into that later, but alright. Penultimate question for part 1 of the talk, right? Penultimate question. Okay. So, this one I think this is very this applies to all fighting games to be honest. How frequent do you think balance patches should be? Oh boy.
This is without any new character, right? Like character regardless,
Yeah.
with or without. 3 to 4 months, honestly.
3 to 4 months for a balance patch.
3 might be a bit too soon,
Mhm.
actually, for me. But 3 to
Mhm.
4 months would be a good timeline. The reason for this is you'd need the time to adjust to the patch. And then after that,
Mhm.
you'd also need to tweak and identify what should be worked on after. So, the best part with the 3 to 4 months is for majority of the players in fighting games, they're not gonna play like daily, right?
Mhm.
They're gonna pick it up, they're gonna drop it after a bit.
Yeah.
The 3 to 4 months buffer lets people know that okay, there's a new update now. So let's hop in again to see what's going on. And then maybe we can like end up liking it more, or maybe oh, I think I'm good. I'll just skip out the next patch.
Mhm.
That's for casual players.
Mhm.
Competitively, the 3 to 4 months gives time for players to adjust to it, in the sense that there's gonna be new or hidden tech always, either new tech found per character or new system mechanic that can be abused.
Mhm.
And the 3 to 4 months rule makes it so players at that level are able to lab it out, test it, see what works, if it's too broken or not, what situations does this apply to, when can I use this particular situation and then use it in a tournament scene? Uh, One thing that I can say for this, I guess, would be, or one that comes to mind is Ed's Dream combo.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a level 2 combo, which where his level 2 would normally just deal, maybe 20%, I think, damage without
Mm-hmm.
any combo, which then becomes 60% wall to wall of a combo. But the execution's extremely difficult. If the balance patches were only 2 months and anything between the level 2 to the triggers for it to the juggle system was changed, we never would have seen that, right?
Mm,
That
yeah.
would have just Ed would have just been a regular mid-range character who deals some okay damage with lackluster specials.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think the balance patches gives time to flesh out whatever we can from any single change.
Mm,
Because even something like, oh, this button we change it from -4 to -3. That single thing alone makes it possible for new setups to be made, new combos to work together with. Um, One thing I like, this is from personal experience.
mm-hmm.
This was with Manon's stand heavy kick.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was -8, or no, sorry. This was -3 on hit.
Ah,
So on hit, if I hit you,
it's still my
it's your
turn.
turn, right?
That's
So it's like,
stupid. That's so
what?
fucking stupid.
I hit you with a slow, far-reaching move, okay? Which should benefit me
Mm-hmm.
and put me at my advantage to pressure you. But it's your turn? Like, what?
And that's the core identity of heavy moves in Street Fighter 6. They're slow. But
Right,
when you
right.
get hit by it, you get hit hard and you're hella minus. The opponent is hella minus. The receiver of the hit is like, oh fuck.
The
It's
pressure's
not
on them.
Yeah, it's not was it Billy Kane? I remember the funny memes
Mm.
about Billy Kane. Oh, that move is -42 on hit. You're like, what?
Huh?
Huh? Is -42 on hit? Yes. Because the recovery of characters on hit is way longer than their recovery on block. And you're like, huh? What? They recover faster on hit than on block for this move? What?
Like, I think the dumbest way to put this in multiplayer terms or FPS terms. Imagine if I threw a flashbang at my opponent and myself, and we both get blinded. And then I recover from the blindness
Slower.
slower.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like what? So so season 2 comes. They just added a small note. Stand heavy kick is now +1 on hit. For anyone else, that would be seen as like, okay, just a small number. That's like what? 3, 4 frames of difference,
4 frames.
right?
Yeah.
That
From -3
that
to 1.
that 4 frames is enough for me to confidently add more mix from it. Because if it hits, I can just go straight into a command grab now. You can jab all you want, but I'm grabbing you.
Yep. I
So it's
mean,
like,
yeah, if they jab and you command grab and you get hit, you're like, it's a jab combo. It's not gonna hurt that much. It's fine. I'll take it. But if they are like, oh fuck, I got a block. Oh, you're blocking this command grab? Thanks for the medal, buddy.
well,
Thank you.
well. So yeah,
And
like, sorry, those situations, I think the small nuances, if you it needs time to be lapped out,
yes, I agree.
which makes it different from other games as well. Like, if
Mm,
you change, let's say the up costs 100 more. I mean, okay, but like, I don't think you'd need to lab that out. you maybe have to save a bit more, maybe
Mm-hmm.
use an ability less, but you don't have to spend hours alone in a training room just to figure out, okay, this up now costs more. What do I do with this information, right?
Mm-hmm.
In fighting games, it's like, okay, there's 10 changes to my characters. The possibilities are endless now because of these changes. Yeah.
Well, for me, how frequent the balance patches should be. Honestly, it's not as simple in my opinion, because some games
Mm-hmm.
have a balance cycle that some people find crazy, or it's just right. Like Tekken balances, depending on how busted a season is, you can see 2 to 3 balance patches per season. Like, I'm speaking from
Mm-hmm.
experience in Tekken 7. I've seen 2 to 3 balance patches per season in one season when it was really busted, and maybe one balance patch in a season where, oh, this character just has one particularly stupid move that really needs fixing. And of course, for other players, you're like, what? 2 to 3 in one season? That's way too much. But Tekken players would be like, no, that's yeah, we needed that.
Normal?
No, that's normal. And then of course, from Tekken players, you're like, so when was the last balance patch? Start the season. You're like, huh? What? How about the characters that were busted? They're still busted now. And
Still
that's okay.
busted, yeah.
We've been dealing with that for time immemorial. It's like, oh, okay. For me, like, I'm not gonna put numbers to it because it's quite subjective. Like, some people would
Mm.
feel like 3 to 4 months, that's pretty generous, that's comfortable. Some people will be like, 1 2 months, that's needed, because it's like people are discovering crazy shit at crazy speeds with this game. So yeah, we need balancing patches that often. So
Yeah,
what
fair.
I would say, how frequent should a balance patch be? It has to match the reaction of the community to the season. If the community is having a knee
Mm.
jerk reaction, the patch should not be knee jerk either, right? Because
Mhm.
again, on paper, things that are on paper, you cannot, you have to test it out. You really have to test it out. Because again, like, I'll use the Manon thing for an example.
Yeah.
Like, people see that +1. They're like, oh no, Manon top tier. She's busted. I quit. I don't want to fight Manon. They already buffed the fact that her medals increase her SA3 damage, and then they give her a +1 on hit. Nope, I'm done. Manon busted. It's over. It's Gojo. No. Like, that's a knee-jerk reaction. But there's so many nuances to that. Like, yeah, +1. Did you take into account number one? Are you back to a wall? Number two, how close is Manon to you? Is she close? Up close? Mid range? Or tip range? You're like, why does it matter? It really does matter. Because
Mm-hmm.
if Manon is +1 up close, you're like, yeah, you're
Uh,
really fucked. Because she can do back fierce, and if the player is good, they can react into straight up into strike throw for a medal. Or if they want to play it safe, they do DR. It costs meter, but they still get their medal. What else can they do? Up close, they can do heavy command grab, which is faster because they don't have to walk up to your face to do it. If they are mid range, now their options are much more limited. They can check with a standing fierce punch, right? Because it retracts pretty fast, it's hard to punish and block. They cannot do back fierce anymore because the range is short, but they can do standing or low medium punch. Or if they want to play it safer at longer range to make sure it hits, low medium kick. They can't DR cancel, but hey, they can check you. If they are really, really, really far, they can just drive rush mix up at best, right? That's pretty
mm-hmm.
much all they can do. So again, that +1 in a vacuum, you can't just say, oh, the shit, over, she's busted. No, you gotta test it out. So yeah, knee-jerk reaction. The patch cannot
Mm.
complement that by, knee-jerk. No, absolutely not. Because you look at, I've seen so many occurrences where, Oh my god, they gave this move one more frame advantage. It's busted. And then within the third week, right? The first week was just doom and gloom. This character's busted, top tier, easy peasy. Within the third week, the same people who were parroting, like, oh, this move's so busted, this character's top tier, now they're like, actually, this move, like, is not super busted. You still have to work for it. It just opens up options, but it's not busted. So you're like, well, thank God they didn't balance that shit out when you guys were reacting that way. And then in another vacuum, they gave this move +1. And then 4 weeks later, people are like, it's still busted. Right? That's how crazy fighting games are. You can have the same, like, we just gave this move one more frame advantage on block. Because of how characters and dynamics are different in a fighting game. 3 weeks later, they write it off, or 3 weeks later, it tears the scene apart. That's why it's really, really, really important that developers are practically playing the game alongside their community. If they do not have the manpower, and I'm sorry, Capcom, but you're Capcom, okay? You're not a small indie developer. What you can do is what most computing companies do. White hatting, right? Instead of trying to research, right? There's a little lesson for you guys. Instead of trying to learn from the inside, what are vulnerabilities in our systems that black hat hackers might take advantage of? Hire or put a bounty. Like, here's a bounty, guys. Like $10,000. If you can find a vulnerability in our system, recreate it, let us know. And you're like, why would you do that? So they can fix it. Because clearly, they have other things on their plate to worry about. And I want to believe that Capcom is doing the same thing. They can't just focus on the balancing. They have to focus on character outfit design, DLC plans, seasonal changes, few features, right? And then the logistics of all the Capcom tournaments. There's a lot. So, if time is something they do not have, they can have the community like do it for them or help them with it. Because again, it's really, 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 really important that the developers of a fighting game in particular are playing the game alongside the community. Because, for example, funny how Vig is wearing a suit. If Vig is the balancing director for Street Fighter 6, and I'm a player, and because he is a working man, right? Because he's a working man and everything, right? Like, he probably has a lot of things to worry about, even though he's the balancing director, right? Because he is a good computer engineer for whatever, he probably has to contribute in other departments of Street Fighter 6. Okay? Me, on the other hand, I may have a working job too, but my focus is just on playing the goddamn game. So, if I say, Vig, this +1 move is super busted, and he says, what? It's just +1. I'm like, are we playing the same game? Right? If the devs cannot understand why a community complains about something, you have a big problem. It just means that they are not playing the same game we are. And that is, like, I think, the cause of a lot of issues with fighting games nowadays. Like, +1 to me means +1 differently for the developers. And I'm like, that's not good. That is not good. Because, again, if you are not playing the game that you are selling to your customers, how do you expect to understand your customers whenever they complain about your game? You objectively cannot. Well, yeah, we make the game, we understand it. Really? Really? You want to look at the state of your game and tell me you understand it more than we do and say that this is actually okay? I don't think so. I don't want to lean into the extreme that, haha, customer's always right. Corporate is big bad. Like, no, I'm not about that. It's not about corporate. It's not about customer always right. No, it's really about business ethics at this point. You are selling me a product or service. the bare minimum is that you know exactly what you're selling me.
Exactly.
You're telling me that this is a polished season. I tell you, no, it's not. And your reaction is, no, you're wrong. I'm like, brother,
No, you're wrong.
you're
and
not
proceeds
paying
to
for this thing you're selling. But don't pretend that you don't see the problems in here. Or at the very least, right? Like, understand why I'm complaining. If you don't understand, that's your problem. Because there are a million fighting games out there. If people have a problem with a fighting game, they'll play another one. Because fighting games are just that complicated. And yeah. Like I said, just to go back to the topic, the question, right? How frequent? It really is not as simple as 2-3 months, 3 to 4 months, no. A balance patch has to complement the state of the season that it's in. If people are having knee-jerk reactions, the balance patch has to be soon, but it should not be knee-jerk either. Because like I said, and even Vij agrees to this, +1 move that people are like, oh, busted, yep, pay to win character, pick to win character, it's gonna be top 8 nothing but this character because it's +1 on block now. And then suddenly 3 weeks later, nope, actually no, we were glazing too much. It's okay. It makes the character strong, but it's not busted. Could you imagine if they balanced it the week after that uproar? Oh dear.
No.
It's very bad. At the same time, you cannot let a problem fester too long, right? Because that to use a metaphor, you should not use a hammer on a solution that just required a scalpel. However, you cannot think about, do I need a scalpel or a hammer? Because that problem is going to fester to the point, shit, neither works anymore. That's a situation that fighting games should avoid, right? They can't balance too soon, but they also cannot balance too late, or else the damage is already done, right? They really can't. They really shouldn't do that. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. However, I'm not saying either that, well, we're fucked, because that's almost impossible to solve. No, it's not impossible to not solve either. There is an easier way to do it. And that, for me, bare minimum, they need to play the fucking game in the same duration and window that we do, right? If most pro players are spending 4 to 6 hours a day ranked in their locals, whatever, some people in their team must be doing the same. Because you still need to take care of a lot of data sets, right? You have to take into account casuals who only play the game 1-2 hours. You have to take into account rank grinders who are literally spending 12 hours a day just grinding ranked, and then done, right? They reach Ultra Grandmaster and then they're done. They don't touch the game ever until the next season. There's also the competitive players who live and die by the game, so they have to play 6 to 8 hours like it's a 9 to 5. There has to be some people in their team doing that as well. It's only when you have those kind of people in the team where there's this mutual understanding that if I tell Vig, yo, Vig, this +1 move is a bit insane, and Vig tells me, yeah, I agree, it's a bit insane, but I just need more people to say it so that I know that it really is. See? That's the kind of understanding that fighting game devs need nowadays. Because it's both a boon that fighting games are breaking out of its old niche. Bigger numbers, however, mean bigger problems and bigger complications. You have more players, more mentalities to take into account. That's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. If anything, I agree. It's fucking difficult. But I'm not going to pretend there's no solution to this, because there is. I need to feel like the devs that are balancing the game are playing the same fucking game that we are playing. Because if there are 10,000 Manon mains that are saying, this move is ass, there has to be at least one person on their dev team that's like, they have a point. Like they actually have a point. That this move is ass. It
That
needs
movie
it
is
needs
ass,
buffing.
yeah.
If no one in their team, if the team is like, how? We're fucked. We're cooked. Like you don't know. It's
Undersea,
not just the ranked mains. It's not just your pro players. It's not just your labbers or casuals. Everyone is saying it's ass. From hardcore to casual, classic to modern, we're all saying it's ass, and you don't know why? Oh, we have a big problem here. Because the last thing you want as a fighting game player is to think, are they even playing their own game? That is the last thing you want on your mind as a fighting game player. Once that's in your head, oh boy. You're going to be in this spot where you're like, I should just play other games.
Yeah, go to devs that actually care.
Yeah, go to devs that actually care. That actually pay the game. Right, last question for the first half, the first phase of this. Oh wait. Like let's sympathize a bit, right, with the devs themselves. What do you think is the difficulty in balancing a fighting game?
Uh, huh. Huh. Okay, I think for this, I think all devs still face this, right? But fighting games in particular have this exponentially harder. I'm talking about the factors that come into play in fighting games. Because there's other factors in team games which aren't present in fighting games, right? And that makes the game somewhat less broken, somewhat more fair. If you see a person with the up, you can smoke, you can use two people, you can stun them and then go peek. With fighting games, you use what you get, right?
Yeah, what you see is what you get, yeah.
There's no easy way to like work on this. Use what at least. I think one thing that we also want to consider, for example, Street Fighter, if you change a move, on top of classic control schemes, you have to consider modern.
Yeah.
And then that's also a big issue of like, okay, how does this affect modern play? Would this make this person too strong in modern? Because what's happening right now is a person technically in Street Fighter, this is with the new character Mai, right? There is a setup where if she has a knockdown, she can throw a projectile, and if they jump, you can do a DP, and that will always catch them. You may have to drive rush and then DP, but essentially you can still catch them. Modern makes this so it's so much easier to set up. You press one button and hold it. That's the projectile. And then if you see them jump, you go forward and then you press the same button. Which is kind of wild for modern's sake. So now, as a dev, you're thinking, okay, so we'll have to nerf it, right? It might be too strong for modern. But if it becomes too weak on classic side, then they'll have to buff it again, and then it's a whole mix.
Yeah, that is a trick.
Factors like that make it hard for Street Fighter, at least. I think in Tekken, it's somewhat a bit less, at least for this comparison.
Yeah.
Because the modern equivalent for Tekken isn't necessarily tournament viable.
Yeah, it isn't.
It's not capable of being used at the highest level, right?
Yeah.
But there's also other things you have to consider. I think, as you mentioned, like, there's the distance. In addition to distance, there's pushback of both the character getting hit and the person doing the hit.
Yep.
Because the spacing would make it a lot worse. Ken's standing heavy kick, for example, really strong move to abuse, is -5, so it sounds punishable. But it also pushes you hella back for another mix into, guess what? His standing heavy kick, the same button that pushed you back,
Yep.
which is, it's rough, right? Because at the same time, the factors that come into it all play different. Because there's so many situations where it can come from. Is this coming from drive rush, for example? Is this coming from wake up? What space is this? Would this affect how they can get punishable? In Tekken side, this would be like, I think the Oki, I think, got affected in Tekken, right? So now combos
my
that
God, yeah, a
used to
lot.
work now.
The setups that used to work are just gone. This was the identity of Tekken, not just some characters. Tekken.
Mm,
Getting up, in my opinion, in Tekken has more importance than in Street Fighter because there are a million ways to get up. You have side roll, you have back roll, you have standing guard, you have low guard, you have, oh my God, there's a million ways.
Rise too, and then like this character specific ones too with the bears.
Yeah, and like I said, and this is gonna make some people like lose their shit, but I'm like, yep, that's Tekken. There's also like, what are you getting? From what state are you getting up? Is your head facing the character, or is it like the feet? Oh, the feet. Is your feet facing up or down? Oh, okay. Oh, it's your face. Is your face facing up or down? Like it's just so dynamic, and it's like, oh, your feet is facing the character, but it's face down. But is your opponent on your side or by your feet? It's important. It really is important. And guess what? They eliminated that. They eliminated that in season 2. That's another thing people are like, what?
Why consider factors when there
Why?
are no more factors?
People have spent years making setups for that and making answers for that. And then in one patch, almost like a sick April Fool's joke. No need.
No more. Yeah, I think one thing, two things at least. The priority, I think, with fighting games, and the reason why people spend their time on it a lot, is the depth that you can get
depth,
with it.
Yes.
You can just go in. I can spend like 2 hours training by myself, and I'd have fun. That is fun for me. If I work on my drills, if I focus on specific situations, that is fun because I can use that in game.
Yeah.
By removing that depth, you make you sort of disrespect the players who put their time and effort to it. Like just I guess I don't have to make you imagine. Going back to Kunimitsu, the back two, right?
Kazumi.
Sorry. Kazumi.
Yeah.
By removing the wall splat, the combo game and the pressure that you might have spent hours in are just wasted, just like that.
Not just that, just so you can really highlight it. The problem by removing the wall splat. There is now an answer for Kazumi's wall pressure that answers everything. Sidestep into duck. Sidestep duck. Why? She has one tracking move, but it's a high, so you can duck it. You can sidestep a mid that if you get hit, it's a wall splat. So you sidestep that. Well, what about the tracking duck? It answers everything, right? So that threat of like, but if I sidestep and duck and she says back two, I get wall splatted. That's gone now.
Yeah.
So what if she hits you with back two after sidestep ducking? You don't even do ballerina spin, you just get hit. You don't get wall splatted anymore. The threat is gone.
That's it. That's just a hit.
Just a hit.
Okay. That leads me also to my second one. The risk reward factor with fighting games. There has to be a balance with it.
There is a balance, yes. There has to be.
You can't just have a low risk, high reward button.
You can't.
and at the same time, no one's gonna do a high risk, low reward
It's like
button.
yeah, it's like that meme of like budget, quality, and price. You cannot
Yeah.
have a low budget with both quality and price. Sorry. Time, sorry. You cannot have something that's low budget without spending both sorry, you cannot have something that's high quality unless you have both budget and time. You cannot dish out something that's fast, that's also low budget, and quality. No, you ditch quality for that. You cannot have all three. You'll always have 2 out of 3. When it comes to risk reward, like sure, maybe a character has a high risk, high reward, but there is a caveat. There has to be a caveat, right? What's this high risk, high reward? What's the caveat of this? Oh, right. The answer for it, or the sorry, low risk. My bad. Not high risk, high reward. This low risk, high reward, right? Low risk, high reward. What's a good balancing for that? Oh, right. It has to be like at up close. Like, it has to be done up close. It's not something that can be done medium range, right? Because most of the dynamics of like high risk, high reward has always something to do with range and footsies.
Yeah, it's situational, right?
Yeah, it's situational. It has to be situational. If something is low risk, high reward, it has to be situational.
Yeah, it's like I think for this, some bad examples for this would be low risk, high reward. Normal grab in Street Fighter, man. Like
Wait, what?
you do that at normal grabs, like a normal throw
Yeah, normal throw.
in Street Fighter.
Yeah.
The throw loop problem. at
Yeah,
least
throw
in
loop
Street
problem.
Fighter style.
Yeah.
In the when you're walled and then the person throws you, they can just automatically auto-timed do a throw again.
Yeah.
And the pressure for you on the defensive end is so much higher. Because you could jab, you'd get thrown. If you jump, you can get TP'd or sent back to the corner. If you try to backdash, they could counter
Delay
as
and-
well.
yeah.
If you try to throw to tech it,
But they do a jab, you get counter hit comboed.
or even worse, they shimmy and then they do the counter hit combo.
Yeah, they shimmy to a punish
yeah.
counter. That would really
Right.
hurt. Yes.
So, yeah.
But there
Not
is one
fun.
caveat to this low risk, high reward thing. It's only possible at the wall. Yeah, it really is only possible at the wall. But here's where the difficulty comes in. On paper, right? Well, it's only done at the wall. So as long as you don't get carried to the wall, you're fine. And then someone tells you, guys, Ken wall carry? My wall carry? Are we
My
gonna
wall carry?
pretend that isn't a thing?
Wall to wall, maybe?
Yeah, but a character can put you from round start mid to the wall in one combo. So now that argument of like it only works on the wall no longer holds water. And that's exactly my point of like that's why it's difficult, right? Because correct. Like on one end, correct. It only works on the wall, so don't just get carried to the wall. If you're fighting against say Marissa or Geef, right? You're like, okay, they don't exactly have the best wall carry, so it's fine. And besides, even Marissa doesn't have throw loops. If I call Geef has throw loops, yes. And then you have some characters like Chun-Li who have insane wall carry but don't have throw loops. So like you get carried to the wall and you're like, okay, I don't have to. I have a lot of things to worry about Chun-Li. Throw loops ain't one of them. And then there's like Ken or Mai, right? You already have to deal with the Jinrai mix-up. You have to deal with Mai's Fireball mix-up. You have to deal with Ken's Command Special Run. And that mix-up as well. And on top of that, they have meterless wall carry from mid to the wall and throw loops. So it's no longer intrinsically a throw loop problem. It's like a problem. It is really
Pretend
just
problem.
a problem. Yeah. See, and yeah, that's the difficult part of oops, I accidentally pinned that. Hang on. A lot of problems in fighting games is not intrinsically a problem. Like in a vacuum, right? Right? Throw loops are not a problem because people will tell you two things. Just take the throw or jump. Right? Like Alden taught me. It's called wall pressure tax. Like you get DP'd on the way out, that's your tax for getting carried to the wall. But hey, you dodge the shimmy into punish counter combo, you dodge the throw loop. So instead of taking like 15-20% damage from a throw loop or 40 to 50% from a punish counter combo that isn't probably even cash out, you take 10-15 from a DP or an anti-air. That is fine. That's your tax. Right? So, on paper, in a vacuum, intrinsically throw loop is not that big a deal. And then you look at Ken and your Mai, and that suddenly the throw loop becomes a big threat. Right? Because the circumstance, you said, situation. The situation where throw loops are a problem is constantly a problem against those characters. Because what's the circumstance? What's the situation? Wall. But when you're against a character that has throw loops and insane wall carry, then now the throw loop is a problem. See? Like, that's one of the complicated things in a fighting game. Sometimes the problem itself is not so simple. So the solution is also not simple. And hilariously, I want to go back to what, because we're going to talk about this later, I want to briefly mention what Vij said earlier. You have two layers. You have the character and the system. Throw loop is both a system and character thing. And then characters have baked in mechanics to make throw loops viable and busted. Let's take Ryu. Ryu has throw loops. Does he have the tools to make it busted? No. In my honest opinion, no. He cannot wall carry from mid-range without meter as well as Ken or Mai. Okay, so that's a caveat, right? It's a caveat. And then you have people, like I said, like Ken and Mai, who can just carry you to the wall with one simple combo, no meter. Like, wow. Right?
Amazing.
So, if you nerf throw loops in general, which is a system thing, on one end, alright, so that means Ken and Mai, their wall carry is less threatening now. Good! And then you have people like Chun-Li who don't care because, lol, what are throw loops? We don't have that. And then you have Rio mains who are like, dude, the one thing we had on the wall. Yeah. Why? And that's the difficult part of balancing, right? For some characters, they make a little problem a big problem. For some characters, it's a bit of a problem, but not that big a deal. So now balancing and that's just one thing, throw loops. And the worst part, it's not just a feature, it's a core feature. It's core. It's part of the identity of the game. You can't just remove throw loops. You really can't. Alright, that's it for part 1. We're gonna take a brief 5-10 minute intermission. If you guys in the chat have any questions or whatever, feel free to ask me or Vig. Would be glad to answer them and take them into account. I see. Miko says he thinks that throw loops shouldn't be that hard to balance since Chun has the template right there. The one that I don't know how to balance is the driver. Yes, actually. Because, again, the same goes for throw loops. Drive rush is another core mechanic to Street Fighter 6 that it's not a universal mechanic. You look at Manon on the other end, and then you look at DJ on the other end. You're like, how is this the same mechanic, right? How are we looking at the same thing?
You're calling this fair?
Like Jury's dash in is Manon's drive rush, and I'm like, bro. Bro, what the fuck? Something ain't right. But you also cannot just simply fix it and nerf it, right? You cannot just give Manon DJ levels of drive rush. But
I mean,
at the other end, you also cannot nerf DJ's Drive Rush into Manon levels because you're like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
mm,
Drive Rush is a universal mechanic in the same way that wealth is evenly distributed. Oh, damn. The shade. But you know what? The facts. Facts,
yeah,
though.
yeah, that is true. That is true.
That is very true. And yeah, a complicated problem will require a complicated solution. I know it sucks. I know people hate that idea, but that really is how it is. You cannot answer a complicated problem with a simple solution. You can't. You really can't. Because fighting games already intrinsically is not as simple as other competitive games. Like, even something like Valorant, I've seen simpler solutions cause lesser problems.
Yeah.
Making the op more expensive or making it cheaper. That caused very little problems, even though in hindsight, wait, that's big. Like, the difference from it costing below 5,000 credits, below 4,500 credits, and above 4,500 credits, that's big. Yeah, correct. It is big. But the solution itself to that problem caused by the solution, the first one, is also simple. But not so much in fighting games. Like I said, like, okay, so theoretically, okay, Manon's Drive Rush is ass. Okay, let's just make it a bit better. By making it a bit better, suddenly, getting hit by Manon's anti-air, where most of the time you're like, okay, I'll take the anti-air, it's fine, because what can she do? What, Drive Rush into my face and then... Oh fuck, now she can!
About that.
Now
about
she
that.
can! About that, oh my god, now she can actually Drive Rush straight into my face like Geef does and actually put me in the mix. Like, as I get up, oh fuck, what's she gonna do? Is she going to do a meaty back heavy? Heavy fierce? Or is she going to go straight into a fucking command grab? Oh fuck! And you're like, so what's the difference between that and Geef? The difference is the weaknesses of Geef and Manon are completely different. That's the thing. Like, in my opinion, Geef into level 3 is a lot harder than Manon into level 3. You have so many routes. But for Geef, there's only one reliable route. And it costs a lot. And again, like, Geef has only one move that connects into level 3, and that's OD Lariat.
Yeah.
For Manon, you can, outside of doing it raw, obviously. For Manon, right, you have the command, you have the strike throw, which is the least damaging option. But you also have heavy anti-air, which is the biggest damage option, but it's only for specific routes. Like, you have to make routes specifically for that. But it's still an option. It's still more than just one move. And the best part, like for Manon, she can level 3 you mid-air combo or grounded combo because of strike throw, right? Like, if she catches you in the air, you're like, oh fuck. Yep, she can level 3 me. I'm dead. But if Geef lariats you out of the air, you're not afraid of his SA3. Because you're like, okay, he has SA3. When I land on the ground, I'm gonna fucking jump. In case he does SA3. Because the only time Geef can SA3 you is when you're on the ground. For Manon, it's different. She can SA3 you in a mid-air combo or a ground combo. See, that's what I mean by their strengths and weaknesses are different. That's why buffing just one thing about the character, especially if the thing you're buffing is a system layer mechanic, that can cause more problems than it solves. Because on one end, like I said, on one end, you solve the problem of Manon's Drive Rush being ass. But now you have introduced a problem of Manon's Oki after anti-air now being a big problem. Where now the value for picking Geef over Manon has shifted. Picking Lily over Manon also. The value has shifted quite a bit. So there's that. Like, Damn. That's why these problems are not as simple as people would like it to be. Like, I don't want anything to be complicated. No one does. Let's be real. No one does. Because things that are complicated, if you want to deal with it properly, it takes time. And people don't want to take time. They want to press buttons. All right. Let's move on to phase 2. The meat of this whole topic, right? So, let's start off with the appetizer. All right, let's start off with an appetizer. All right. What for you was the worst balanced game you've ever played, regardless if you had fun or did not have fun with it?
I'm trying to think because there's, for context, I've played from Tekken 5, MVC 3, GG Strive a bit, Street Fighter 4. Then there's other games too that we could also bring up, like as you mentioned, Valorant, CS, Dead by Daylight comes to mind as well.
Oh dear, yeah.
But I think worst balance. I guess outside the fighting games, it would have to be Dead by Daylight.
Wow. Well, I did play it a bit. I agree.
For one particular perk there was one old perk which was brought up. I think this wasn't even a year ago. I don't know if you know, but there was a new character who came with a perk called Made for This. And it was a silly little perk, you know. If you get hit, if you're in the injured state, you run faster.
The fuck?
As a survivor. Like,
wow.
You just run faster. No requirements. You get hit. You're injured.
But you run faster.
You run faster.
Bro, why the fuck would you heal then? Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
But the killer is always faster. Not in this case, bitch.
Not this case.
Not in this case.
Because I'm a survivor main there. So it's the 1v4, the killers, the 1 person versus 4 survivors.
Yeah.
And as a survivor main, I had so much fun just being able to
outrun.
Literally outrun some killers.
Instead of outcycling a killer, you are outrunning a killer. That is wild, dude.
No thinking, no brain play, no mix up. I hold shift, I press W, and I win. Like, just
Lord.
like that.
Oh my god, that sounds so fucking stupid. Holy shit.
And the worst part is, like, okay, technically it's not super bad, because let's say at 115% of the normal speed, that's for killers, you run at 110%. So technically they would be able to catch up eventually. But this becomes into like 1 minute added in the chase for that perk alone, without considering 3 other perks which you could use to make you go even faster, to confuse the killer, so that 1 minute becomes an entire game.
Not just that, also worse is if you're using perks from a character. I know this character, I just forgot their name. This character specializes in, if my teammates are suffering, I'm winning. The thing is, if you get those perks on this character you just mentioned, what does that mean? Right, now the killer can't just go for their teammates anymore. If you go for their teammates, this already busted character is going to be even more busted. But if you tunnel vision on this one character, who, by the way, is very difficult to kill because they can outrun you, the killer, as a survivor, you're like, wait, that means the 3 other teammates have free reign of what they do. What the fuck do I do, bro?
Exactly.
And oh my god. Holy
DBD and DBD, you can teach the perk too. So other survivors could
Yeah, so
learn
other
it.
survivors can do that. Yeah.
So
Oh my.
all survivors were running faster than the killer. All survivors were running it.
Oh my
So at that
god.
point, what do you do?
Cry. That's what you do.
Exactly. The
Fucking
worst part
cry.
is this only affected like middle to bottom tier killers, right? Because they're the ones that have to like chase actually. Top tier killers like Nurse or Blight, who could just teleport or literally sprint at you, it didn't affect them.
Yeah.
Except for the one thing that the perk also had, which granted you one extra hit if you heal anyone.
Bro, what the fuck is this perk, man?
Exactly, right? So,
It's like if you got in Valorant terms, it's like if you got the pocket guardian of chamber and you put
Chamber.
op rounds in it. But you still have to buy it. It's an op at the price of a skill, dude.
100 credits
100 credits.
to feel the power of a god. Like,
Oh
I
my.
cannot I cannot put into words how bad it was for killers because
Mm,
people would make builds where they can insta heal either themselves or other players multiple times in a game
mhm.
and then have that and then have another speed perk, which is just like what?
Yeah. Oh dear.
It was fun. For fighting games though, not gonna lie, as a casual player, Tekken 8 was kind of Tekken 8 even before season 2 was kind of
Oh yeah,
hella
it
unbalanced.
was hella unbalanced. It was. I'll be real, hella unbalanced. As a Nina
Like,
main, whenever I see people, I hate fighting Nina. I'm like, uh, dude, I'm not gonna glaze her. Like, I'm not even gonna say skill issue. I agree. She's
right?
busted.
Like
She's fucking busted.
I
I
I
remember one of
remember.
my
Go.
clips. I remember one of my clips when I was fighting Blue. Blue was still picking up Victor early, and he really loved to abuse Victor's power crush, which is a high. And the thing is, Nina's DF1-2 string, I can cancel that into a crouch dash. So
Oh.
I'd crouch dash through it, and Blue's like, huh? And then I'd do it again. You what? I'm like, I'm sorry, Blue. Welcome to the knowledge check. It's like,
I,
aw.
like oh, you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn today.
You're gonna
That
learn.
like I remember Clive when Clive came out.
Oh my god, Clive!
I was fighting everyone, right? Like he was okay. Like people were playing nice with me. I think Ardon was playing nice too.
Mm.
We was playing nice. I stepped, and then I think sidestep Lance comes in.
Oh no.
Sidestep Lance comes in, goes like, "Oh, I want to do a few sets." Like, okay, sure, dude. I've never felt so much hatred for both Lance and Clive.
Oh,
Like
bro.
I would take Ken, I would take JP any day of the week compared to that set. It was so crazy.
Imagine a
Like
screen-wide heat engager that for some reason realigns on the second hit. I'm like, what? This isn't even Dragonov's heat burst. No, it's a normal move.
exactly. Like
The fuck is this character?
I don't know. But I'm not saying I didn't have fun with it. I had fun
Oh yeah,
because
but it's still
part of
unbalanced.
yeah, it's unbalanced. But part of the season one was it's kind of broken, but there's still workarounds for it. If they're spamming it, you could maybe do maybe an armor move. You could sidestep it. You could I don't know. There's ways around it. It's a knowledge check. It
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
broken. It's just I don't know things. I just have to be better.
Mm,
Like there's a straightforward way to address it, right?
mm.
How about you? How about you? What was the
Worst
worst?
balanced game I ever played. Since you gave a non-fighting game example, I'll give one as well. For a non-fighting game example, the worst balanced game I ever played. Oh boy. Worst balanced game I ever played. One of the worst ones. Oh dear. The first month of Modern Warfare 2019.
What?
Everyone was using just one gun, the M4. The M4 were so fucking busted. Why? Insanely high fire rate, laser recoil accuracy, punches like a fucking sniper from afar. It outclassed every gun in every category. And there was also the sniper shotgun, the double barrel shotgun that sniped you from afar, and at close range, it just one-shotted you.
What?
It's not even a video game shotgun, it's a busted shotgun. So what? Because what is a video game shotgun? A video game shotgun one-shots you at close range, and then if you get hit by it 5 to 10 meters, paper.
Yeah, barely anything.
Yeah, barely
Almost
anything.
nothing.
It doesn't scare you at 5 to 10 meters away. Even though a real shotgun doesn't work like that. But this shotgun took shotguns to a different level, man. At close range, one-shotted you. At far, long range, like sniper levels of range, you just added slug rounds. It can snipe you. And I'm like,
Who?
what? And because this shotgun is a double-barreled shotgun, it reloads so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh?
but for a fighting game, the worst balance game I've ever played, it would have to be a tie between UMVC 3 and Tekken 4.
Yeah, that's
I'll tell you guys. Because the thing is, the dichotomy. In UMVC 3, there's so many busted characters because of how stupid X Factor is, right? Elephant in the fucking room. Virgil, obviously.
Virgil,
Right?
bro.
Like, whenever you
back
say,
load.
haha, I killed your entire roster, it's just you now, Virgil. Pops X Factor. Now it's
no.
even. Now it's even. He pops X Factor because he's alone. So X Factor's effect is tripled because he's alone. And he wasn't the only one that could do that. Akuma can do that. Wesker can do that. Dark Phoenix can do that. A lot of characters really abused X Factors really well. But yeah,
Phoenix,
so
Phoenix Wright.
yeah, a lot of
This
people
goes up.
were it goes up because the mechanic itself was so busted. On the other end, there's Tekken 4, which is weird levels of busted. There were three tiers in Tekken 4. Would you like to guess what those tiers were? Because you're gonna laugh. I'm telling you, this is the definitive tier of Tekken 4.
Like top tier, low tier.
Mm-hmm.
and then
That's
don't
your.
even
Oh,
Pick a character tier.
you're gonna
Pick
laugh.
a different character, yeah.
No, this is the tier. Jin tier, Steve tier, everyone else.
No.
I'm not kidding. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Jin tier, Steve tier, everyone else. I am not kidding. That's how unbalanced that game was. You wanted to
Jesus
look cool
Christ.
being good, you picked Steve. You wanted to just win, you picked Jin. What are my other options? Everyone else, you fucking lose.
Jesus Christ. That is definitely a game.
That is definitely a game. This is an interesting question I want to tackle before we move on to the next one. Do you think it's worse if a game is competitively unbalanced or casually unbalanced? Oh, I think it's worse if the game is casually unbalanced. If I had to pick, like on the competitive level, it's stupid, unbalanced, but on the casual, no one cares because it's fun. I'll take the hey, if it's unbalanced for casuals but it's fun, I'll take that. I don't give a shit. I do not give a shit if the competitive scene is unbalanced. I do not give a shit. Because longevity wise, and I say this with the utmost respect that I can, longevity wise, a game's success gives no shits about Evo, about CEO, about Combo Breaker. No, it's a casual scene. Because, guys, look, how many Evo titles, like, how many titles have been on Evo main stage and it's gone? Like, it's just gone, right? Like, you still have the usual Street Fighter has never left. Tekken has never left. But look at how many have left. Where's Mortal Kombat? Where's Smash? But are those games dead? No. So yeah, I'll take casual. I'll take competitive unbalanced that no one plays it at that level anymore. I'll take that over casually unbalanced that no one plays it at the casual level anymore. That's the worst thing you can ever have in a game. Where a game is so unbalanced that casuals quit. No, you don't want that. Absolutely do not want that.
I think for me, it depends. I'm
Mhm.
leaning to casually unbalanced.
Mm.
Like I'd rather genuinely have it as casually unbalanced. If big
Mm-hmm.
if it's still fun.
Yeah. If it's so fun, of course.
Because honestly, one I remember that's casually actually I don't know if it's also competitively unbalanced. I think it
Mhm.
is. Injustice.
Oh dear.
And yes,
Yeah.
that is a game.
That is a
That
game. That is
exists.
a game.
Truly a fighting game. But I remember it being. I remember playing it casually with my friend. I think I
Same.
was using Aquaman, and he basically had JP's spike
Yeah.
as well as
I
a projectile,
remember.
right?
Yeah. And
So
it's imagine this, guys. If you could, like JP Spike, what's the response, right? Jump. What if you could spawn those spikes on the ceiling? Because what did Aquaman do? He'd throw his spear at a horizontal
horizontal,
trajectory. So you're like, wait. So my jumping is answered now. Yeah, and if the player is good, they can react to it.
like I genuinely traumatized my friend from touching fighting games because of it.
Oh dear.
Was it fun?
For
Yes.
you, maybe.
For me,
For you.
it was hella fun. Would I recommend doing that ever again for any fighting game? No.
No.
But if there's a way that they can all be unbalanced, right? Like UMVC is fun unbalanced.
Well, I have to say this because Blue is here, DNF Duel. And DNF Duel.
DNF Duel.
Everyone has their bullshit. But it's fun. It's fun though. Hitman with the boys. And then you have Striker. Every move is a Rekka. Wait, what? Can you say that again? Every move is a Rekka. Wait, one more time. Every move is a Rekka. Wait, so you can cancel your Shoryu? I can cancel my Shoryu into a safe move if I have magic. You're like, what? How is that fair? And I'm like, you use Hitman, you bitch. And you're like, oh, wait, right. I use Hitman.
Yeah, like it has to be.
It's the one
Unbalanced
game.
for
It's the
all.
one. It's the one game I vividly remember. I never ever complained about anyone's bullshit. I would say, okay, that's bullshit, but that's fair. I never complained about Hitman's bullshit, Swiftmaster's bullshit, everyone's bullshit in that game. I never complained because somehow it was fun, dude.
It works. It works, right? It's the same.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Next question. Thanks for that question, by the way, Miko. That was a very good question. All right. So follow-up question to the first one. This is where we really start getting in. Why do you think the Tekken 8 community is in a state after it is in a state it's in after the season 2 patch? I think this is really important because it's not as cut and dry as people think.
Yeah.
And some people are confused. So And I know the answer to it. And yeah.
I think from a casual side, putting away the bugs, which I think is a lot to put away because there are a lot of
There are a
bugs.
lot of bugs.
There are a lot of bugs.
Hmm.
I'm seeing Kazuya do a butt smack. I'm seeing apparently Bob's data is coming out as a shadow.
Yeah, it is.
That is that is a lot to
Anna,
consider.
I told Blue yesterday, Anna is you can actually unlock Mokujin. Anna is Mokujin in the game.
Anna is Mokujin.
Anna is
Definitely,
Mokujin.
yeah. Okay, putting aside the bugs, I think for me the biggest things are going back to the risk reward which we were talking about
Mhm.
got heavily affected, as well as the lack of decent counterplays. I think
Mhm.
both tie in, but both are separate in a
Mhm.
sense as well. With the risk, there's so much to talk about, right? Like, Oki situations are easy, are safer defense wise, I think, right? In a sense, but it's not as complex anymore.
Mhm.
You have mix ups which are a whole less risky to do and a whole lot more risky to block or do option selects against.
Yeah.
So now you get low risk, high reward, easy access situations,
Yep.
which are just, man, why do I play this game? Which also tie into the lack of the counterplay, because they can just spam moves at you and you're just like, what do I, okay, maybe this is something I can lab out, let's lab it out.
No, no. The
Oh.
response is Alt F4 boot up Street Fighter 6.
Honestly, yeah, because um I don't know if you guys follow other content creators in Tekken, but I saw there's one content creator I follow in Tekken because he's
Mhm.
chill.
Mhm.
I think Fee.
Oh, VDX.
Yeah, FeeDX. FeeDX is chill. I like how he
I
explains.
watched his video as well. I watched
I
his
watched
two videos
the
I did.
video.
It made so much
It
sense.
is
I agreed.
it is rough. Like, I think if I placed it in SF terms, it's basically just they buff Jinrai.
No, no, wait, no. I saw one comparison that made a lot of
Uh-huh.
sense.
Go.
Imagine being to throw loop anywhere and everyone can throw loop. That is the good
No,
way
bro.
to describe how much of a shitstorm season 2 is. Imagine if one, everyone can throw loop, and number two, you can throw loop from anywhere, anywhere. Mid screen? Yup. You're back to a wall? Yup. Like the doer of the throw loop, behind them is a wall. I can still throw loop you.
That is.
Yeah, that's the level of shitstorm this patch is. I think the reason why the Tekken 8 community is in a state it's in has hilariously, it has nothing to do, very little to do with the patch itself.
Okay.
I think,
I
yeah,
get it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it has very little to do with the patch itself because if it was just the patch, it's easily answerable to they'll fix it. But no,
Yeah.
that's not what people are really mad about. One, they have been betrayed. Number two, miscommunication. Right, miscommunication.
Yeah, definitely.
Number one, and yes, Miko, I saw your answer on point. What I mean by they have been lied to, literally on their interview, and people like literally people save this as receipts. They literally said, "We know that this game's 2D aspect is very pronounced, but you know, defense and sidestepping has been thrown on the wayside. So we are going to improve in that aspect." So people are like, "Finally! They get us! Yay!" In the same,
that.
but what did we get, right? Because I'm not going to glaze or ignore anything, right? I'm going to be critical about this. They did buff sidesteps, correct?
They did. They did.
Problem. They gave everyone a tracking, and not just like what, left side, right side, white tracking. So it's true tracking. True tracking mids. Oh, they're probably -9. Plus on block, they're probably in heat. Outside of heat, they don't wall splat, they wall splat. So what you're
Really?
telling me, not only did they eliminate the need or the usefulness of these defensive buffs, but they now made it even worse. Defensive wise. Yes, they did.
I like the comment I saw the other day. Like season 2 really is the defense patch because they took away defense. And I'm like,
Yeah.
damn.
And for miscommunication, this is where I did have this as I did criticize this a lot, where if you are as a developer, I'm gonna pause the music real quick. If you are as a developer of a game that has a lot of player feedback, if you are going to be transparent, you have to be careful. Because number one, don't forget, this is the internet. People can be stupid, people can be violent, and people can be stupid. And more importantly, people can be stupid. But more importantly, no, I'm not gonna say people can be stupid. More importantly, people just are not critical on the internet. People, yeah, they just aren't.
Yeah.
That's why most people, I'll give an example. When No Man's Sky launched, do you know what Sean Murray did?
What?
It's funny because it's also a Murray. Wink. Sean
It runs in
Murray.
the blood.
Yeah, it runs in the blood. You know what
Yeah.
Sean Murray did? Hilariously, I don't think it runs in the blood because this has a better ending. You know what Sean Murray did when people were just throwing accusations like, "Oh, they grifted us because they haven't said a word about all of our complaints." No, what Sean Murray did was that he told his team, "Don't say anything. It's not going to help." Because he learned that by communicating, and he's not good at communicating. He confessed he's not good at communicating because he's introverted. He moved to no communication until we're ready, until we have something. I'm not going to say we promise this, we're working. No, once we have something, we'll tell you. That's it. So he told everyone in his team, don't reply, don't read it, don't even say anything. So what did he do? All of the complaints on Twitter, on their official Gmail account and whatnot, it went straight to him. And then he put them in specific data sets. Like, these are feedbacks from players who played over 10 hours, less than 10 hours, people who are still playing the game, did not play the game, refunded it on console, PC, etc. He did all that. Because he knew that if he was going to be transparent, it's going to cause problems. Now, this Murray, on the other hand, wanted to be like transparent, and they have been transparent ever since the launch of the game, right? You'll notice Harada, Ed Murray, whenever they see complaints about the Tekken 8 report, hashtag, right? They usually respond. This is the one time that they shouldn't have responded. And the community took it as a joke. Wow, Murray really is embodying season 2. He is not blocking in Tekken. He's blocking people on Twitter more than he's blocking in Tekken.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that for me is like big miscommunication. Like, dude, what the hell is wrong with you?
What is happening? Yeah.
Like, the worst thing also is that he has been called out for like nitpicking also. Like, he'll only read the positive comments and ignore the complaints from all levels, right? And that's the thing, like, right? Like, me personally, I'm not a game developer. It's not my responsibility to make this game the way the community wants it to be. There are generally complaints. I'm gonna confess easily. I do not take complaints from professional level players too seriously.
Yeah.
Because they always have their own agenda. I really don't. Whenever I see some, they actually make sense to me. Rarely though. They rarely make sense to me, but some do. Right? But most of the time I'm just like it's hard to believe what you say because you want to win,
Yeah.
right? That's the thing. I cannot take it too seriously. But in this case, it's not even those that are being blocked. He's blocking everyone. He's blocking negative feedback from pros, from ranked players, casual players, labbers, everyone that has anything negative to say the game. And the thing is, he's not blocking out all feedback, just the negative ones. So he's sending the message like la 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 la. I'm not listening to anything negative. You say, oh, you have something good to say. Thank you, based. Everyone else cringe. La 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 la. Like, bro, stop acting like a kid. Take the L and be civil about it. Yo, Inari, it's the internet. Isn't he a professional? Isn't he a director for this fucking game? It's his job. He should be able to take the hits, take the negative comments, filter out the ones that are really stupid, and fix the game. Like that's part of the job description. And to be fair, you definitely he definitely put himself in that situation when he started being transparent. If he wasn't transparent since the very beginning, no one would have expected him at all to reply on Twitter. Right?
Yeah.
But because he has before, people are directly giving their feedback live on Twitter for everyone to see. And oh boy, it's not a good look.
That is a strategy. That is a strategy indeed that they did.
Yep. Yeah, he's not sidestepping comments because he knows that that's pointless. He's not sidestepping the negative comments. He's blocking them because that's the only thing you can do in Tekken. Sidestep? No. Block? Yeah, I have to block. Fucking stupid, man. But yeah, that for me is one of the reasons. The two main reasons why the Tekken 8 community is in the state it's in. It's not even because of the patch itself.
Yeah.
Very little to do. 80-90% of the outrage that the community has is because of the dev team themselves. Miscommunication, and they contradicted themselves, promising one thing, delivering another.
Yeah,
that's the biggest reason why the community is is outraged right now. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I think they really should have focused on under promising. Just saying, okay, this will be a patch. Keep it vague. Keep it hidden. Don't tell nobody anything. Don't promise any changes. Don't even say if it's major or minor.
A lot of people were like, guys, put the chip damage on throw break, but leave out everything else. People were like, I wish the time when all of us were doing on chip damage on throw break. Bro.
About that.
Yikes.
Yeah. It's a mess. It's a mess.
Right. All right. Next question. So, do you think game devs should be? I I need to highlight this. I talked about this, but I want to highlight this. Do you think game devs should be involved with the Tekken community, especially online, as Harada and Murray, or less involved?
Hell no.
Hell no, right?
Hell no. Jesus. Like, I think it's kind of similar to what you said, right? The best of the best way that devs should be able to know the community is either in person, where like people who would come are usually nicer. But like other than that, if you need feedback for system mechanics, for what changes should be, don't look at the community. Get a team or look through the data. I'd say that's the safest way. If you have to ask people outside of your team, you could take competitive players with a grain of salt.
Hmm.
Maybe don't take any part referring to their main as sound advice.
Mm.
YouTubers might be a safer bet, content creators in general, because they're basically the assumption is they'd speak for the people in a filtered already sense. Also with a grain of salt.
Yes, always with a grain of salt.
Always with a grain of salt. Because if you can't do it by yourself, you're already having a hard time. You're already having a hard time with that. But yeah, it's I don't know what they've been doing right now with them being involved. I honestly thought when I first saw the Tekken feedback system of like, oh, you can just tag them. It was kind of stupid, at least for me, right? Like,
Oh, the Tekken 8 report.
yeah, like
Now,
you're telling me,
for me, it
uh,
was a good idea. Caveat: if they know how
ah,
to filter out the bad.
yeah,
Because some of these Tekken 8 reports, I'm like, one, skill issue. Two, that's not a character problem. That's a you problem. But some
yeah.
of them were legit. Some of them were legit. Like, yeah, good job. But if they could not filter it out, that's on the dev team. That's on the social marketing team then.
I think I don't know. For me, it's the system and how they did it, right? Because you can't implement that system and then not be able to filter it out.
Yeah.
Because if you couldn't filter it out, you shouldn't have had that system in the first place.
Yes.
Like there are better ways. There are in-game ways which you could track it. Where there like a ticket could be reported, and then if you look through the ticket, you'd see maybe match details,
Mm.
recordings of the match itself to see the gameplay. Those that would have been more objective, at least for me. If the report
Agreed.
was seen, you could see, okay, what are they complaining about? Let's see the situation they were placed in.
Let's rewatch the match where this problem was highlighted.
Yeah. Let's look at the specific situation, the frame by frame, the data, the hitbox, and see what we can tweak with this situation. And then we can see if this is applicable to other scenarios, right? That would have been the most efficient, I think, to
Mm.
filter out rather than that whole Twitter people see it, it fuels the hate, it fuels the salt, because people see it, they complain about the same thing. But in
Yes.
actuality, skill issue. Skill issue. For some, definitely for some. Not all, not all. But yeah.
Yes. I would also add to that, right? Like, I haven't seen anyone as vocal or transparent as Harada or Murray in this case in the fighting game scene. I really haven't.
Mm.
And it's quite telling where now it seems like a very bad idea in general. Because you look at the other games right now in the scene. Street Fighter has problems. Fatal Fury has a
definitely.
funny problem. Guilty Gear has
Yeah.
problems. But those problems compared to Tekken 8 cannot even compare them in my honest opinion.
Yeah.
But what is the one outlier between all those games? Oh right, we don't hear from the devs of those games. For better or for worse. Whereas in Tekken, we hear from these devs usually for worse now. Which sucks. Which really sucks. Because again, like they're in this trap now. And that's the thing, right? Being transparent, especially online and in social media, when you're taking player feedback, it puts you in a trap. People expect you to be transparent. So let's say in the background, Murray, Harada, and the team are hard at work at fixing this patch. 2 weeks in, nothing. People are losing their minds. Like,
Yeah.
guys, 2 weeks, nothing. Well, what's the progress? And for those outside, are like, why are you asking for progress? Because they always are transparent about our feedback. Now they're not. What's going on?
They give progress.
So they
updates.
set
Like,
expectations, and now those expectations are not being met.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's unfortunate really for the community because it's not their fault that they expect them to be transparent. They set that expectation themselves. Oh, dear Lord. So now, to continue on that note, on the player side of this issue, right? Of course, a lot of players are coping in their own way. Some of them, well, a lot of them are doing stuff like this, what we're doing, which is we are essentially educating or telling people why it is the way it is right now. Others are playing Tekken 7 instead or other fighting games. Others have just quit fighting games altogether and they are just because Tekken is their only fighting game, so they're playing other things. What do you think is the right thing to do for players, right? When they are given a patch like this for their main or favorite fighting game? Because I have words for the player base, because a lot of you, I swear to God, a lot of you need to get some help.
Yeah. I think that's also one of the things I'd say. Like, y'all need to chill for a bit. Like, it's not helping the devs. It's not helping the community. It actually makes things worse for the community.
Yep.
It places a bad look on casual players too, because it's like, if you guys told me that the Tekken patch is bad, I'd just be like, oh, okay. I guess we can just wait for it till it's fixed, right? And then I go on Twitter and I see all the people, all the salt, all the dejection, the sadness, calling Tekken like a dead game or something, and I'm just like, aren't you guys maybe overacting a bit? Just a teeny tiny bit. Like, I don't know. I think during these times, right? Was there an issue? Did they mess up when there was miscommunication for the patch, right? For the devs, absolutely. They definitely messed
100%.
up
Yes,
there, right?
agreed.
But as a player, should my first reaction be to post salt on Twitter and then tag Tekken support calling for the game to be fixed? No, definitely not, because it's not
In
gonna
a
help
very,
them.
I'll add, in
Yeah,
a
go.
very violent, volatile manner. Because I
Is
saw Nee's really long post. It used very, of course, context. English is not Nee's first language. He used very straight to the point words. But the vibe I got was he was very sincere. That's the thing. Nee was very sincere. He wanted the game to be fixed. He wasn't making this out of spite, like, fuck you. No, he's like, I hope this is useful. That's the first thing he said on the tweet. He said,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hope this is useful. Because he genuinely wants the game to be fixed. He's not doing this out of hate, out of spite. No, he genuinely wants the game to be fixed. He's not lashing out. He's not taking it or making it personal. No, he's literally like he's looking at his friend disappointed like, bro,
Like,
you
what is
fucked
this?
up. Let
Yeah.
me help you. Right?
Here's some
right?
genuine
That's what he's trying to do.
advice, right?
That's what he's trying to do. Right? That's what he's trying to do. But there are other people who are just like, fuck you, you fucked up, you this like what? Bro, like there's a fine line. I have to say there's a fine line, right? Your friend should be able to enjoy whatever they enjoy, right? Without judgment, right? But there's a fine line, right? Your friend likes playing very sus games. Okay, whatever. Everyone has their own kink. Everyone has their own quirk. That's fine. Your friend likes doing drugs. Okay, we draw the line there. No. That's not something you should be enjoying. No. That's actually bad for you, right? Right?
Yeah,
I know it's crude, right? But that's exactly what I mean. There a line has to be drawn, right? You can't just use the fact, but he's my friend and he's enjoying it. Dude, it's not good for them. Actually not good. Not subjectively.
Harm them,
It's harmful. Stop them because he's your friend. Right? But there's also that line like, bro, why are you judging me? Like, it's not harming me. It's just my personal thing, right? Like, why are you playing League of Legends? Like, what's wrong with... No, come on, man. Memeing a bit. But like that's my point. Come on. It's not harming them, right? It's their way of having fun, right? It's really not harmful. So don't judge them. But when it's something as bad as, like I said, right? Like medication. I'm using a substitute word for it, right? Street medication. Okay, not good. Draw the line. That's exactly what Nee is doing. He's drawing the line where I have to be frank, okay? But I'm not going to be an ass because I still love Tekken. That's what I wish more people did, and that's exactly what you are trying to illustrate, right? Like, a line has to be drawn.
Like, I don't know. If they want it to be better, there are helpful, productive ways that you can say that.
Yes. And for every option, right? Like, you have currently, you basically, your reaction to this, right? Your reaction to this, you basically have essentially two options, right? Number one, your first option is to let them know how you feel or think. That's one. Do it properly. Simple as that. Your second option... Sorry for raising my voice. Sorry. Your second option is to do something else. And that's totally fine. No one should or has the right to call you, oh, you're a tourist or you're a backstabbing prick. How dare you leave the game? Bro, it's a game. There are other games in the same genre that's better or just more fun to play. Why the fuck am I going to play something that's not fun?
Yeah,
Especially
no
when
forcing
I
you to
was
stay.
having fun before it. No, shut the fuck up. Let me do what I'm gonna do. Especially if it's not harming me, right? So you have two options. And the thing is, what people should do is do them properly. You want to let the devs of Tekken 8 know how you feel? Do it properly. Don't be an ass. Be critical with your feedback. Be more like me. Number two, you want to ditch it for something else. Go ahead. What you should not do, however, do not bring up your game in another game space. Dude, don't make your problem the problem of another game. That's just wrong, okay? You have problems with Tekken and your solution is, I'm gonna play something else. All right. You want to shut up, basically, right? You want to shut up about Tekken 8 Season 2. Stop talking about it whenever we do something else.
Move on, homie.
Move on. If you want to move on, then actually move on. Right? Moving on only works if you actually can, like, yeah, man, season 2 Tekken 8 was a thing, huh? Shit. Glad all I deal with is throw loops in this fucking game. Right? And then you move on, right? Then now all you complain about is like, God damn, these throw loops are annoying, right? You've moved on from complaining about Season 2 Tekken 8 to complaining about Street Fighter 6. All right, that's moving on. You've moved on. But I swear to God, if you cannot move on from Tekken 8, you have to let it out somehow. You can't just bottle that in. You really can't. You have to let it out somehow. And like I said, I'm not saying you can't not let it out or you can't let it out. You have to do it properly. There are avenues and ways to do it. And the most important thing is two things. Be critical and don't be an asshole. Don't be an asshole.
Is it too hard?
Apparently, for people in the internet, it's too fucking hard.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I swear to God. And the funny thing is, most of the people I have seen that aren't VDX, that I have almost no problems with, they're taking it pretty well. You have people like, I forget his name, but he's a British, Tekken player. He's basically been just asking people what are their thoughts, or he's been memeing from time to time. You have main man Sui, who I think has snapped a bit. He's still playing it, but he's miserable.
Yeah,
But he's still like critical about the game. He's just basically riding with the bullshit. But he's still complaining about it. Of course, it does make him look like a bit of a hypocrite. Like, why are you hating on the game so much and playing it? Right? But to be fair, right? To be fair, there are some people who will always... again, you can't really compare it to food because food are not video games, okay? Because there's a difference between why are you eating this dish when it tastes like shit? But I love it. But it tastes like shit! That's food. Food are not video games. Right? Even if a game is a clunky mess, somehow you can still find fun in it. You can still have fun. You really can. And I guess for main man Sui, he still does. And whenever he does it, yeah, I saw him. He did boot up Street Fighter 6. Not gonna lie, I hope people jumped on his stream sniped him and did nothing but like, I don't know, play Geef and throw loop him in the corner.
No.
Let him
Send
know
him
that
back.
send him back or no, let him know the dark side of Street Fighter 6. Oh, you're bitching and moaning about Tekken 8. Guess what? This game also has its problems.
Bring out the Ken mains.
Yeah, bring out the Ken mains, right? Yeah. Yeah. So generally, people have been coping with this with their favorite fighting game two ways. They let their devs know what's up, how they're feeling. Number two, they just ditch it for something else. Both are valid and fine as long as you do them properly. Because how can you expect the devs to fix your game where your feedback is, game sucks, and they whip out the notepad, okay, game sucks. How?
And
No, character OP. Okay, character OP. How? Nothing? Oh, bro, like, give us something to work on.
yeah.
Because if you're not giving us something, this is what we work with, right? Remember what I said earlier about balance patches? The better, the more critical and informative the feedback, the faster the fix is.
Definitely.
Right? If you are giving the team little feedback, you are extending the amount of effort and work they have to do. I know it sounds silly when I said they have to exert the effort, but if it can be alleviated just by a small effort on our end, why shouldn't we, right? By just giving proper feedback, you can make a fix that takes 2 to 3 months 1 month. By saying, for example, hey, Paul's Hammer of the Gods, by the way, +9 is too much, dude, because look at what he can do. This is what I came up with 1 hour of labbing, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we can see that. Okay, okay, we'll start formulating and brainstorming how to fix this. Whereas if you told them, Hammer of the Gods Paul busted, they're like, fuck. We have to spend hours in the lab figuring out what the fuck this guy meant.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And then you guys complain, why are they taking so long? Well, maybe
Why
if
haven't
you,
they fixed it?
well, maybe
Like,
if you gave them better feedback other than your pieces of shit, game sucks, game's dead. I don't know.
broken.
They could have
Right.
actually gotten to work, right?
yeah.
I don't know. Like, I'm sorry. You give a shit feedback, you get a shit response. That's honestly the crudest, best way I can really like just call out the community. If you guys are giving shitty feedback, expect a shitty response. If you want a proper swift response, give them a proper swift feedback. Right? It's the only. Do you really expect, like, if you keep poking someone who's working on the thing that you're working on, do you really expect them to not lash out? Come on. Right? Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, but dude, I commissioned this work like a week ago. It's been a week. Yeah, there's a difference between, hey, can I get an update, like, on the work? How's it doing? And megaphone, hey, when is it done? Same message, 2 different methods, 2 different results. Is all I'm saying. So yeah, to sum up this question, two things. Be critical, don't be an ass. Right? Don't waste the devs' time, because if you waste their time, guess what? Our time's also gonna be wasted. Wasting their time with death threats, shitty responses, meme responses is not gonna help anyone. All you'll get is short-term satisfaction of I let them know that their game is shit. Ha. Now they should feel bad that the game is shit. Ha ha. Yeah, and then a month later, why is the game still shit? I don't know, ask yourself. Why is the game still shit? Because I said it was shit. So, what do the devs have to work on? Right. Figuring out why you said it's shit. Alright, follow up. In your honest opinion, is this patch the consequence of a different vision that the community and the devs have? Or a misunderstanding of a player feedback or something else? Right? Like, is it... I know it's a complicated question, so I'll elaborate, right? So, basically, is the patch that we have right now, is it because the idea or the identity of Tekken that the devs have is different from the players? Or is it because of general feedback that they got in Season 1 that they misunderstood? Or is it something else completely? Yeah, because I know those three things sound very similar, but in my view, they are very completely different.
I think the closest might be the misunderstanding of a player feedback, because I really am against the support system that they have. It's not efficient. It's cluttered. You can't really follow up on it too, compared to like a regular ticketing system. And it places the pressure on two people. You know, like Harada and Murray. Like, sure, there might be others, but if there's some people that have to respond to it, it's those two, right?
Yeah.
And a two-person job, coming from experience, kind of hard. And at that scale, almost impossible. Impossible. I think that, as well as the expectations. It's really the expectations that they gave, man. Like, if they said nothing and then this patch came out, would it have been bad? Maybe. It still would have been bad. Would the reaction be a lot better, though? Could have been. They could have just said, okay, this is a bad patch, but the level of aggression and hate that the feedback has would have been a lot less if they just said nothing. Yeah, so it's mostly just the expectations from the devs as well as the feedback. I'm not so sure about the vision. I think they both wanted the same thing. It's just it came down to the feedback being, okay, we'll make Sidestep better, but then, okay, considering other factors, right? Like, we can't make Sidestep too OP, because then it becomes like Tekken 7 and becomes too defensive. So let's tweak some of the buttons, the homing, let's tweak a bit of that, and then we're here now.
Yeah. Like, yeah, like I said, it's like if the devs told you, as they are playing, imagine the devs are highlighting the changes in motion, right? The features that they added. We wanted people to sidestep more, and then in their gameplay video, half the time they're blocking. Like, guys, can you say what you mean and mean what you say? If you really want people to sidestep, then why are you blocking most of the time? What's going on? Yeah, I honestly think, like, because I think the vision that the devs have and what the players had for Tekken 8 was already made clear prior to release. Remember, the word aggressive was memed to oblivion, right?
Yeah.
When Harada said that Tekken 8 is going to be more aggressive. I think people came to peace with that. And during the first few months, people were having a blast. People were having so much fun with Tekken 8. But when the cracks of, like, the problems of the aggression started to show, that's when people gave feedback like, okay, look, Heat is cool, Heat is fun, but it's a little too much.
Yeah.
And I think this is where dev misunderstanding, it's a little too much. Oh, so let's make it way too much. No, not little. It's a little too much. Not what we meant by it's a little too much is means that it's a little too strong. Can you make it weaker? We didn't mean we wanted more. Because it
it's a
seems
little?
to.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
it's a little too much. Let's make it way too much. No, that's not what the player base meant, guys. Right? It's not that they have a problem with aggression in general. They just think that this aggression is way too strong. Where there's a difference between aggression is the best choice and aggression is the only choice.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's very clear that they wanted aggression to be the best choice, but players didn't want defense to be thrown to the wayside. No, of course not. Like, a good offense can only look good when there is defense to compare it to, right? A good offense will go through really good defense, and really good defense can basically block out really good offense. They're tied to each other. Because what's the difference between somebody like pressuring a training dummy that doesn't hit back or doesn't sidestep, and a player who is trying to defend the mix-ups, trying to do sidesteps, but keeps getting caught out, right? That is the definition of good offense. But how can you have good offense when most of the time I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna do this move, guess, you guessed wrong, I'm gonna do it again. Like, bro, what is this offense? There is no, you have turned the game into a single player game. That is not fun. So yeah, I agree. Like, I really think the consequence of this patch for sure is a misunderstanding of player feedback. Because, again, if it was number one, a difference in vision, people would have been complaining earlier in season 1. Way earlier.
Weird, yeah.
It's only when we got the likes of Eddie, we got the likes of Lydia, Hey, Clive, right? And then we saw the little adjustments they made in the middle of the season where people are like, no, this is not it. Nope, revert these changes or keep these changes, etc. Yeah, that's when people started complaining when they started touching the game post-launch. So it's not the vision. So yeah, I agree. It's really a misunderstanding of player feedback. And oh my god, they are still taking player feedback.
Yeah, they gotta change it up.
They have to change it up. All right. This is a sub question, but it's a very important one because this is something that you rarely see in games. But it is a very Tekken thing. Tekken commonly adds moves to their characters every season. Do you think other games should do this or not?
No, definitely not. Y'all can keep that in Tekken. I don't want.
Yeah,
I don't
because
want
to
that
be
stuff in
fair,
Street
right?
Fighter.
Because there was a comment from a Tekken streamer that I saw. He said, when I saw that they were adding more moves, I translated that to they are adding more problems. And that's exactly what happened. A lot of these new moves caused a lot of problems in the fucking game. I agree.
I don't
And
know,
before anyone
plan
says,
new move.
what about Street Fighter 6? Look at what they did with Ryu. They changed moves. Like the target combo can now give you a Denjin charge. It's not really a new move. But if
It's
you
an
want a
upgrade.
new move, imagine if with Denjin charge, you can SPD input your level 1 super to make it unblockable. Imagine that, right?
Yeah,
That is a new. You're not changing how the level 1 super works. No, that is a completely new move. No. Don't do that. No, don't do that.
it's yeah.
And then,
I-
oh dear, don't do that. No. Oh dear. Yeah, I do agree. Generally, adding moves adds more problems. But the thing is, the Tekken balancing philosophy usually, if they cannot completely fix a move, they would break or bend the identity of a move and give that broken, bent identity to a new move. That's usually what they do. And that works for
The
Tekken.
old move.
But
The old-
but like I said, because of how Tekken works, I still want to give Tekken a shot. Like balancing Tekken is not easy because of the whole 3D plane. It really
Yeah.
isn't. So yeah, I do understand that sometimes the best solution is to remove or change the identity of a move and give it to another move. Sometimes that really is the best way because they don't want to put their eggs in one basket. They don't want to make, as you said, low risk, high reward moves applicable in every situation. It's very clear. So that's why they applied what I said. They took maybe a few pieces of the identity of one move and they put it in the new move. If done right, that is okay. But this is an example of it not working right. No,
Not right,
nah, no, this is not it. Like I said, for example, let's take one of the moves that people complain about so much with Ken, right? Jinrai, right?
Yeah.
You have Jinrai that each aspect of the move covers an answer to it. You try to DI the Jinrai low, it's cancelable. The window to DI back is very generous. You try to, because you're like, oh, I'll DI the overhead because the overhead recovers so long, right? Yeah, what if they did the Jinrai low? They can DI back. All right. Okay. So I'll just block the overhead. What if he does a Jinrai low? You take the low, and now you probably have to take a Jinrai mix-up again. Okay, then I'll block low, and then I'll block low, and I'll fuzzy the overhead. Okay, but what if they do the high kick? There's pushback, and he's plus. Or rather, like, you're back in the... It's still his turn. Like,
Fake
fuck.
it, or then walk up,
Yeah.
grab.
yeah,
It's a
he
mix,
could...
it's a mix.
He could... Yeah, it's a mix. It's a nightmare mix. What I do not want them to do is do something stupid. Like, take out the high Jinrai, and give him donkey kick. I don't want them to do that. No. But they're
How's
both
that?
Shotos. He's Ryu's training partner. No. No. No, that's gonna cause more problems. Because it's one of those design philosophies, really. Not just in fighting games, right? Whenever there are more parts, there are more problems. That's why you want to keep a machine as simple as possible, right? Because the more parts there are, the more issues can arise, right? Instead of dealing with maybe 5 problems because you have 5 parts, you now have like 20 parts that you can potentially have 20, 15 problems to deal with, right? That's the problem. That's why 2D games in general, I feel, are a lot simpler to fix than Tekken in general. Because again, Tekken, the average move list of a character, including throws and everything, is 50 to 60. That's 50 to 60 moves you have to take into account. And then you have people like King and Xiao Yu who have like 100 and more. But with Street Fighter 6, take Ryu, for example. You have the special normals. You have the crouching. You have the crouching and non-crouching variants of heavy, light, medium, punch and kick, and then you have his specials. That's it. I can literally count that to like maybe 30. That's 30 moves you have to take into account for Ryu, and that's just Ryu. How many characters in the roster are as simple quote unquote as Ryu? Technically, Ken, right? He's a Shoto. There's also Luke. There's also Chun-Li. There's a handful of characters that do not have like a bloated ass move list, right? Compared to the rest of the roster. But the ones that do, they're very few and far between. And again, less moves means less problems to deal with. For better or for worse. But in this case, like, oh dear. You already have a lot of problems with a lot of the characters in the roster, and you want to add more problems by adding more moves? No.
No.
The only time
not
people
the
would
way.
accept that is when it works. But most of the time, unfortunately, it causes more problems than the problems it solves, unfortunately. Yikes. All right, we are finally down to the final question of the podcast. All right. Okay, so this is really for this is not one-sided really for like just the community and the devs, because I always believe that fighting game growing is it's a cooperative, collaborative thing between the devs and the players. I honestly believe.
Yeah.
So, what do you think the community and the devs of Tekken, or even fighting games in general, can do moving forward to prevent something like Tekken 8 Season 2?
Okay. I think because we've been discussing about the community a lot, I'll focus with that first, right? On top of the don't be an asshole, be critical. I think just to add to the criticalness of it, record the gameplay if you can, provide the match ID if there isn't Tekken. Street Fighter has per replay ID.
Mm-hmm.
So provide that at least, provide the timestamp, show specific situations about what you'd want fixed, and then you could post it, right? That would be the easiest way for devs to see any bugs that happen. It's a easy example to refer to on why, okay, this move is broken because, oh, look at the tracking of this move and how it beat my sidestep because of this situation at this range. This move is literally broken. This is a bug because of this. Which I like what's happening right now. Now that the fire's kinda settling.
Yes.
A lot of the bugs are being shown. It looks silly, but at the same time, it's easy ways to reference. Okay, this bug is happening. If we fix this, which situations are still happening? Like, does Ana still copy everyone? Right?
Is Ana still Mokujin? Is wild, man.
Like, I mean, I wanted Mokujin in Tekken 8. I just didn't think it'd be in Ana. I guess like those situations, right? If you record, if you document it well, if you be responsible with providing feedback, there, surprise, surprise, it's gonna get the problems fixed faster. Who knew, right?
Yes.
At least that's it for community. For devs, I think it's still a bit harder, right? Like at the same time, they need more manpower to test. They need better ways to listen to people. I don't know how they'll do it. Either a spokesperson, target communities only, have their own teams for it, which honestly still sounds like the best idea. Alpha or beta testing could also work. For
Well,
example,
funny thing
Uh-huh.
is, yeah, to add to that, I think what they should do, and this for me is like a good system that Capcom kind of did with Monster Hunter. They introduced the idea, but they didn't really implement it in a wide scale because they didn't really need it. But I think it can be implemented for Tekken. I'm not sure if you were aware, but leading up to the release of Monster Hunter Wilds, what was the marketing strategy that they did?
was it the beta test? No.
No, weapon ambassadors. Remember?
Ah,
They every day they tweeted out a weapon ambassador for
Yeah,
each
yeah,
weapon, right? Like for example, for Sword and Shield, they had Jocat make a crap guide to Sword and Shield
yeah.
because he's one of the best Sword and Shield players, yada yada yada, you know. And these ambassadors showcased a quick guide on how to use a weapon and why you might want to pick it, right? What Tekken can do is introduce character ambassadors where they have maybe 3 players, 3 people per character on not the same level, right? You can probably have for example Brian, right? You have someone like me and you have someone like Nee and Jimmy J Tran, right? The best Brian players in the world. And I don't know who in the streaming space just plays ranked Tekken, not really competitively, is a Brian main. But you can have that person be a character ambassador as well. And they are the ones gathering data for Brian and feeding it to the devs through their filter, right? Because how can you filter out people who hate Brian, not because he has OP moves, but they just are biased against Brian? How do you filter out people who glaze the shit out of Brian because they love Brian, not because like Brian is fun, no, because they love Brian, right? Impossible. But if you have character ambassadors, it's a lot easier. You don't need to make a team. How many characters are there in Tekken 8, right? Like, let me do a quick Google search, right? Tekken 8 character roster count. Right? How many characters are there in Tekken 8? Currently 37 with the DLCs, right? Now you no longer need. Let's give a little bit of a conservative estimate, right? Let's say realistically for the dev team, you need maybe like 3 to 5 people per character, like testing them out, checking the bugs. Are they strong? Are they weak? Etc. So let's say average 4 people, right? So 37 times 4, 8, 2. That's 148. That's 148 people in a team just for the characters. Then you add 4 per new character, right? But if you had 3 character ambassadors per character, and you had maybe you have 37 characters, right? Let's say you have 12. You have 12 people in your dev team in Capcom, in Bamco, and each of the 12 people are handling 3 characters at once. That means that they only have to listen to 9 people. That's better than filtering out everything you see on hashtag Tekken 8 report, right?
Yeah.
Because, for example, I can be one person and I'm handling... I'll be on brand here. I'm handling all the character ambassadors for the female characters, which is like, I don't know, maybe like 9 or 10, right? At least I only have to listen to 27, 30 people. I only have to filter out and analyze the feedback of 30 people. That's basically a classroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's a lot easier than filtering out the entire school. Is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why I think, on top of course, what you mentioned, which is 100%, I agree. Devs need to learn how to listen, need to implement a better ticketing system, and players need to learn how to give proper feedback. I would take that a step further. Bamco needs to introduce a character ambassador system. Where, like I said, you have 3 people per character who are on different levels, right? Yeah, like these people have to be on the competitive level and the non-competitive level, right? And then you have them be the ones to gather data, like, yeah, this move is busted, this move is weak, Brian's problems are this, they have a bug against this character, and then they give that to the balancing team that's in charge of listening to character ambassador feedback. That's my idea. You basically, instead of dealing with the whole school, as a principal, trickle it down by assigning teachers per classroom, right? Because that's the way I see it right now. If all of your students in your school has problems and it's all going to just one person, one team, how the fuck will you get shit done? Right? Filter it out. Let it trickle so that it's easier to analyze, right? They have to manage it better. But how can they manage data when they can't even see the data that they can work with, right? That's why I say it's a collaborative work. It's the dev side problem, but in this case, it really is.
I think there's also Okay, so this depends more on the data
Mm-hmm.
foundations that the Tekken team has.
Yes.
Uh, if they can look through individual moves, hit percentages, whiff ranges, that sort of thing, which combos are used per character. Like this
Mm.
is at a per character per move level. Like which moves are being spammed at which ranks. So that's how you can tell like okay, maybe this move should be buffed.
Mm-hmm.
If this is only being used in low ranks, but it falls off tremendously at high rank, for example, like those. If they're able to look at their data in that way to support as well the community frustrations, I think that will make for a consistent and aligned patch, at least for their side, right?
Oh
If
my
it's
god, yes, I agree.
so objective to the point that I can pinpoint why I buff this move. Because if you look at these stats, right, you'll see that this button doesn't get used as much anymore at this rank. Or we nerf this because look at the amount of times that this move is being used,
Yes. Oh my god.
right? This is like at a per move level, like, okay, this one deals a bit too much damage because this is being abused at this health, right?
Mm.
Down to the percentages, down to the timer, down to the drive gauge or the heat. If they can pinpoint that, I'd say finding the reasons would be so much more easier. I don't know if they have access to that data. I don't know if they set up Tekken to track and monitor at that level, but you know, Tekken, if you're listening, Uncle, just so you know, you guys don't have to listen to people all the time. Like, let the data speak for itself.
Yes.
Yeah, like,
If you want to see the frustration of players without the frustration part, you need data. They need to be better at gathering data.
yeah, exactly. Because for me, the data is objective, right?
Yeah.
But the subjective opinions are what provide the direction.
Agreed.
So if we get a mix of both of those, you get a Tekken 8 that, you know, people actually enjoy. Like, oh, they actually listened to us. When in reality, no, we looked at the data and then we just maybe look for tweets. Maybe
And
it's the
we
other way
see that
around.
90% of people do this, so something's
Yeah,
up.
something's up. Like, okay, we see this move being abused. Is it being raised? Is this an issue for the community?
Is it being abused in just one circumstance or all circumstances?
Right? Like, no, not being raised. Oh, only in this
Like
part. Okay.
what's the fastest match at this rank? 5 seconds? How many times has this happened? Is it with
Consistent.
is it with two characters or just one specific character? How consistent? Exactly.
Like,
Yeah, 110% agree. I really think the data that they need is there, but they just need a better
mm,
job at gathering it. T8
like,
report is not it.
like I'm imagining the best case scenario, right? Let's say going back all the way to the Kazumi example. If they were able to pinpoint that this move is being used at this stages for this at this exact position as a wall flat, right?
Yeah.
But let's look also at the other wall splat moves. If these moves aren't being used, maybe we should buff these instead, right? It
Mm-hmm.
adds more mix to the players. The identity should still be a bit bent, but we've also made it so there are now other options that they can play around with.
Yes, yeah.
That would be healthy.
110%.
That would
Yes.
be healthy. Yeah, for the devs at least. I don't know if they'll do that. I don't know if they can like if they even have the means to look at that.
Well, only time will tell, but really, like I said, there are players out there who are a lot like and when I mean players, I mean all levels, casual, competitive, professional level, right?
Mhm.
They want the game to succeed. They're just like me. They are doing their best to filter out their rage, and they really genuinely want the game to be the best shape and form it can be. Because who plays a game wishing for its downfall? You'd have to be crazy to do that. Like, play something else. If you're playing
Please.
something wishing for its downfall, play something else. Do yourself a favor, do your wallet and time a favor, and just play something else. But if you play something and actually want it to become better, then help it. Don't just stand there waiting for it to be better. And obviously, there is the best worst case scenario. If a game, and this is my message to everyone really, regardless if it's Tekken 8, fighting game, whatever. If a game refuses to improve itself for you, I think it's time to go. It may be sad, right? It may be sad, but that's really how it is. Sometimes things you need to change, but they don't, and you just can't do anything about it. Wait, one sec. I got a phone call.
Go, go. It's, it's rough. It's rough. Other things that the devs could do, maybe the community. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of being more objective regarding the concerns, right? Because you see the subjective takes, and it's nice, right? If it's in agreement with majority of the people, it's probably correct. But the objective data just really helps ground the reason, ground the decisions regarding it. So you see moves that aren't being used, maybe they can be buffed. Um, they can fill in for these specific situations.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry about that. I'm back.
All good, all good.
So yeah, like I was saying, right? Sometimes there really are games that you just fall out of love
Mm.
for whatever reason. It could be you, it could be the game, but it's not easier said than done. I know, but sometimes you really have to let go. You have to
Yeah.
move on. Sometimes a game or a franchise even is just not the same as it was. It's not providing the same fun that you remember, and sometimes you really have to move on. And that is okay. Because me personally, right? As much as I want a game to listen to its players, I will always, always, always prioritize creative direction and creative vision over what any of us have to say. Right?
Mm.
If Bamco really wants to turn Tekken into Soul Calibur, into Street Fighter 6, into DOA, I don't care. I just want them to make Tekken in a vision way they want to make. And I want them to commit. That's the thing, right? Don't try to please everyone. The old adage of if you're trying to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. You really don't. That's really how I feel about a lot of games, and specifically Tekken 8 right now in the state that it is in.
Mm.
It's why I have uninstalled it, and it has stayed uninstalled. It's why the most fun I've had playing a game is either Street Fighter 6 or the last time I remember is still DNF Duel that people make fun of is a Kusoge. People called it a Kusoge. Guess what? It's a fun Kusoge. Comparison to Tekken 8, it's a Kusoge. Well, are you guys having fun? I don't think so, based on your feedback and the atmosphere of the community. You guys don't sound like you're having fun. I can still have fun with my favorite Kusoge, DNF Duel. Fuck it. But yeah, despite all that, I want to close with this message of like, I still want the directors and the creatives to always prioritize what they have in mind and in vision for the game, right? I will personally, regardless of what people will say, like, but the customer is always right, yada yada yada. no. Sorry, as a fellow creative, and this is still a creative industry to me, I still want these devs to have a vision, their own vision for the game, and commit. Instead of listening to what we want, convince us to want it. That, for me, is the one thing I want them to compromise. Right? The only compromise they make. We know that what you guys want is different from what we want, but we'll help you want what we want. That should be it, right? Because with all this cacophony of feedback, you can't please all of them. So instead, convince as many as you can to like what you want, and then just ignore or let the other ones just move on, right? I think that's the best scenario we can possibly have. Because at this point, in trying to make a game for everyone, no one's having fun anymore with Tekken 8. The defensive players are not having fun anymore. The people who like to press buttons are also not having fun anymore. Right? So, Bamco really have to make a choice. What is your vision for the game? Make up your fucking mind and commit. And convince people to like it. Convince people to like it. And if you are shocked at how many people don't like it, well, that's you guys to set up your expectations then. Oh my god. Man.
It's wild.
It is wild. It is a really wild situation. But that's our thoughts. Those are my thoughts. Those are Vij's thoughts. I'm sure all of you have your own thoughts. But again, at the end of the day, we all just want to press buttons and have fun doing it, don't we? That's always the case. That is always the case. And honestly, like, I still stand by what Tokido says every time. Fighting games are something truly great, guys. They really are, man. Yeah. They really are. All right. Before I take my really fucking early, because I'm really fucking hungry. Before I take my early dinner break, of course I do this every time with all my guests. Vij, do you have any streams or whatever planned for the future, near future? The red carpet is yours, buddy.
I'm almost at 50 subs, so that is cool. Very pog. Not sure what else to stream. I do want to plan to stream stuff other than Street Fighter. Maybe some horror games because I am scared and I really need people to come make fun of me so I don't quit the game. Is wild. Like, let's be real. Like,
do you want? Okay, I have a suggestion, and because Blue is here, I gotta jab at him a little bit. Do you want a very affordable but a really bang for your buck horror game?
I'm listening.
Signalis.
Signalis.
Yes.
Signalis. Okay.
Signalis. Consider that.
I'll add that. Because I do have another indie game, which I saw this in a YouTube video. It was called Upturned. It's a silly little pixel 3D game where you throw stuff at the horror monsters and you go up in a hotel. And I am genuinely scared. I haven't touched it for a year.
I see. Well, yeah, try Signalis. Try Signalis. That one definitely. But the thing is, it is pixelated and it's not first person, so it's not even over the shoulder. So maybe it's not as scary.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it.
But I know for a fact that horror games are not your forte. Like again, Blue already. I was on call with him one time. Man can't handle RE4. I mean, Vij already expressed it really well. That even RE4 scares the hell out of him. Agreed.
RE4 is wild. Yeah.
And again, like RE4 considered to be one of the least scariest ones. So imagine if you played the scarier ones. Oh dear.
That's why I'm not touching 2. I'm not touching 1.
Don't touch. No. The scariest one for me is 7. 7 is the scariest.
No. I don't even consider 7.
Like I said already, that the one RE game that I actually did not finish until after I took a break from it for a year was RE7. It's the first time I ever did that with a Resident Evil game. VG needs to play FNAF.
No, 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 no.
But that's jump scare horror, though. I don't know if that counts, but hey, horror is horror, right?
Horror is horror. I think. Maybe jump scare horror is worse. No, no, no. Actually, no. Tension. The ones that build tension, like seven was bad. Like I watched gameplays of it. I have it minimized in like a small screen. Sometimes I do the audio only. Like I can't. But yeah, maybe those coaching, maybe down the line for Street Fighter. Just wanna let people have more fun in streets. And also Twitter. I post silly Ryu clips, I guess. No Manon. If you're looking for a Manon
It's been a
content
while.
person, go look for someone else. But yeah. That's mostly it. Yeah, just want to say thank you as well for the opportunity.
No
It's really fun.
problem. It was nice to have you over, man. Again, I was supposed to have you over in episode 47 with Blue when we were talking about,
Yeah.
the
The
soft-boiled scramble, yeah. But I'm glad I was able to have you over. And again, for those wondering, Foxshots, what? You invited a Street Fighter player to talk about Tekken 8? That's what I meant. I wanted another perspective on this. I don't want it to be an echo chamber. And the thing is, V just played some Tekken, so it's another perspective. Another fair Tekken perspective, right? I'm more of the veteran Tekken perspective. He's more of the casual Tekken perspective. So, because we're discussing something so heated, right? In the community, for me, it's more interesting when you have two different perspectives because all we see on Twitter is high level, right? All we see are the pros and the, Tekken God Supremes. That's mostly what we see. That's basically what I tried to deliver with this episode. I wanted a perspective that's not heavily biased towards Tekken. That's Vij. And I wanted my perspective, which is very Tekken aligned. It's very biased towards Tekken. So, we trade ideas. We have different solutions, right? Yeah. Thanks again for saving the time and sparing the time for being my guest today on this month's episode of Shrine Talk, man. Means a lot, dude.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime. I'm glad I was able to contribute. Just silly games, silly fighting games, man.
Silly games. All right. I'm gonna leave the voice call. I'll see you around, buddy.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Vig.